Hey, the fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're going to talk about is strategic marketing or marketing strategy. And a lot of people ask, well, what is marketing strategy? Well, what is any strategy? It's your plan. It's your plan of attack. It's your plan to win. It's your plan to reach out to customers. It's your plan to figure out where we're going to sell your stuff. It's your plan how you're going to communicate with those customers. It's us taking that marketing mix and figuring out our plan to succeed. So if we're trying to figure out how we're going to succeed with a product, we're going to try to succeed how to work in a certain niche of an industry, that's our marketing strategy. We're going to figure out how we're going to win in these different areas. And so if we look at it in terms of our product, what's our marketing strategy for our product? We're going to think about what products or services should we offer to our clients that are going to find value, and they're going to find value in it. They're going to buy it, right? We got to think of those things, right? And if we look at it in terms of price, we got to determine the value that target market has about those products, about those services. We have to figure that out. That's going to be part of our strategy. But also, we might want to have a strategy in order to get the value across to them, because they might not realize why our product is going to be perfect for them. Why is it that a burger at McDonald's is $1, but a burger at a bar is like $10? What's the difference? Where's that in there? Like, part of your strategy is going to be explaining why the price is different. What more are you getting out of it? And then if you look at the place side of things, right? Your best locations. If I'm coming out with a new computer, do I want to have it at Walmart because it can be in more stores? Or do you want to have it at Best Buy because then it's going to be perceived to be a fancier, more advanced computer because it's at Best Buy versus Walmart? I mean, these are things you're going to be thinking about with your strategy. Where do we release it? For movies, okay, part of our strategy is our release date, right? Are we going to release it at the beginning of the summer so they have all summer to watch it? Or do we do it right before the winter holidays so people can watch it while they're home for the winter holidays? Or do we put it out in a random October because it's a horror movie? These are things you're going to think about. These are things that your marketing team is going to strategize around. And the thing is, you're going to take a lot of things into consideration. Your customers, your competition, the industry in general. We have to think about that, right? And of course, you're going to look at your communication strategy. How are we going to let people know about our new product? How are we going to let them know about our pricing? What's our value? Why we're so great? Why we're so better than everybody else, or at least better than them, or why they should buy us instead. All these things go into your marketing strategy. Because what we want to do is we want to use our marketing strategy to help us figure out a way where we should focus, right? Where should we focus so we can develop a competitive advantage, and hopefully a sustainable competitive advantage so we can constantly stay in front of our competition. And so what you're looking for, if you look about this in like mobile phones, right? If you think of a marketing strategy here, first off, the company has to identify, well, what market are we going for? Are you going for the personal phone? Are you going for the business phone? Are you going for the like little kid phone? Are you going for the home phone substitute? Each one of these markets you go for might have something different they're looking for. Because if you think about it, if I'm going for the business market, if I'm AT&T, what can I do? How can I get business to sign up with us? I'm like, well, I tell you what, if you let us be your official phone company, we'll give all of your workers 15% off their AT&T bill. Well, heck, we could get this deal and our employees get a benefit. That might be something we look at, right? And so you look at that. Or maybe you're looking at professional phones that are tailored for a certain market. You know, you'll see people have their OtterBox, in case their phone falls and crashes. Well, there's some businesses and industries that's really common. They fall and crash and get smushed. Maybe we have the super tough phone industry, right? And so we want to be out to help them. I mean, that's what OtterBox does. That's our whole industry. And what we start to do is with our strategy, we start to figure out what's our niche going to be. Back in the day, BlackBerrys were all about, we are the business phone. We've got the actual physical type keyboard kind of thing. We have our own servers. We have all an encryption. We're doing all these things to make it so business can be run safe. And that was their niche. That's what they went for. Everything was about that. But then everybody had smartphones then, and that specialty of them kind of faded away. And so what happens is you have to change your strategy. Look, I mean, Apple with their iPhone came out as, hey, look, we're the MP3 phone camera replacement. They didn't go for the business market right away, but businesses eventually went over to them because they saw, look, we can use Apple. It's fine. The iPhone works just as well. We'll just do that. And BlackBerry needed to change their strategy. Like, look, how do we keep that business core niche, right? Because your business strategy isn't set. It's not like you're making in cement. It gives you a rough idea. It's kind of like your GPS. It gives you an idea of how to get there. But along the way, you might have an accident, or there might be, a detour that you have to take, and you got to be ready for that. So when you're developing your marketing strategies, you really have to think is, what happens if my competitors do this? What if our suppliers can't deliver on that? We have to think about those things and put it all together, and that gives us our strategy, okay? So just think of it. It's your plan of attack to win, whether you look at your marketing mix or product, price, place, promotion, but also the people that are involved, all this kind of stuff, the market's involved, you're taking that all together. And we have a ton of videos on different marketing strategy models, from big, hairy, audacious goals to SWOT analysis to the 5 forces to something more simple like, do you want to grow or do you want to shrink, right? So check those videos out to learn more. And I'll say bye. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in Aruba, one happy island. Oh, it's a wonderful place. And the thing is, Aruba has a sustainable competitive advantage over other places, and that is they are south of the hurricane belt. So when people want to think about going on vacation in November or October, coming here to Aruba is probably a better bet to not worry about hurricanes than if you're going to other parts of the Caribbean. And that got me thinking about, what is a sustainable competitive advantage? And you probably should know what it is. What a sustainable competitive advantage is. Well, first off, a competitive advantage is something that a company does better than their competition. They have an advantage over their competition. The thing is our competition can copy things really easily, right? So we got to figure out a sustainable competitive advantage, one that we can keep going for a longer period of time, okay? And so we kind of want to develop these things. And when we look at it, there's a lot of different sustainable competitive advantages out there. The 4 main ones that I'm going to talk about, and actually we have a video for each one of these 4. One, you have what's called operational excellence. This is where you have like better management team, or if you're a sports franchise, you have good scouts that can find really good players that no one else is looking for, things like that. They're just running their company better. That can give you a sustainable competitive advantage over your competition. Because if you have bad management, your company's going to go under, okay? Another thing you look at is what we call product excellence. If you make better products, if you have better services, people are more likely to buy your stuff, right? That's going to give you an advantage. The thing is, though, whether it's services or products, a lot of times we can copy those things, right? They can backward integrate or, kind of innovate your product or try to make your secret sauce again, something like that. I mean, think about it. How many restaurants have their own version of the Big Mac? You got to think about these things, right? And then, of course, you have what's called location excellence, which you have here, which I described before. Is if you have that spot that everyone else wants to be or that your competition can't be in, that can give you a sustainable competitive advantage. I mean, that's what Starbucks does. They buy all those street corners and all those little spots because then their competition can't move in there. And then you have customer excellence. And that's when you treat your customers better. You develop that relationship with them. They're going to go back. I mean, there's a reason why you go back to your favorite bar, your favorite restaurant. Yes, the food is good, but it's the service and the relationship you have there that really binds you together. And the thing is, you really need to watch the videos where I go through each one of these different sustainable competitive advantages to give you a more robust kind of feel of what they are. We actually have another video that goes through other kind of sustainable competitive advantages you might see out there. Because the thing you have to realize is, yes, these sustainable competitive advantages are things you're trying to keep for the long term, but you have to continually monitor them. Make sure we're still keeping up. Is that still a competitive advantage? If you think of a company like Nokia, back in the day, Nokia was the mobile phone company. Now no one has Nokia phones, right? And you look at it and you say, wait, what was there? Well, their sustainable competitive advantage then was they made phones for everybody, which is great. But then what happened? The market changed. Apple came out with the iPhone, all these smartphones started coming out. So being able to switch the cover of your phone no longer became important, one of their advantages, right? Also, having different phones for everybody started using the same phone. And therefore, that sustainable competitive advantage disappeared. So you always need to be monitoring things and realize they don't last forever. They last for a long time. Nokia did very well for a long time, but you got to keep monitoring it, okay? Because in the end, what we have these sustainable competitive advantages for is to help develop some really long-term financial stability so we can plan things out and plan in our budgets longer in the future because we have an idea of how much money we're going to be bringing in and we're not worried that new competition is going to come in right away and take everything. So I hope this helps you have a rough idea of what sustainable competitive advantages are. Please do watch our videos on location excellence, customer excellence, product excellence, and operational excellence, so you can have a better idea of what these really, in-depth kind of ones are. Also, check out that video about some of the other ones you see out there, like explaining Coke's brand and stuff like that, to help you out. Anyway, I wish you all the best, and bye from here in Aruba. I'm going to go enjoy some of their sustainable competitive advantage. Bye. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're in Savannah, Georgia, and today what we're going to do is continue our conversation on sustainable competitive advantages. And this time we're going to focus on is customer excellence. Developing and retaining loyal customers, as well as having excellent customer service, so therefore people want to come back and work with us again, and shop with us again, and buy from us again. Because the thing is if we can develop a really superior customer service, we can have a sustainable advantage over our competitors. I mean, think about it. Isn't there a bar you like to go to more than others? Why is that? Is it because they give you a little bit stronger drinks, or you get a little bit better service when you're there? It's a better experience when you're there as a customer. These kind of things can give you that sustainable competitive advantage. So when people go, hey, where should we go out to dinner? You're like, well, I'm going to Culver's. Let's go, because that's my place to be. They're always so nice to me. You have those kind of things out there. And the thing is, when you look at customer service, you really have to think about the consistent attention that you give and how much that adds value to your customer. It's like getting that little bit extra service. They bring the food to my table. They say, have a great day. They answer me with a smile. It's really a nice thing that adds value to me. And the thing is, when you're looking at customer service, you have to realize is your whole team has to be involved. So at a restaurant, it's not just the server that's nice. It's got to be the greeter that's there. It's got to be the people that are cooking, things like that. So everyone has a good experience, and everybody is bringing that great customer satisfaction, wonderful experience to that restaurant experience. Because think about it. If the janitor isn't all in on good customer service, they might not be cleaning that toilet very well. And it doesn't matter how great the restaurant is and how great the food is. If you go in the restroom and you're like, man, there's poop on the floor, I'm out. Okay, so you have to think about those things. Because the thing is, when you have that customer loyalty, when you have that customer excellence as a sustainable competitive advantage, it really gets clients to come back. The thing is, a sustainable competitive advantage based on customer loyalty really does help us fight off our competition, because people do identify with us so much. I mean, that's why if you take my face-to-face class, I will talk about Culver's ad nauseum. Like, students actually complain that I give too much love to Culver's and not enough to Portillo's, which I also like, don't get me wrong, and these kind of things, and it's kind of funny. But the thing is when you have that customer loyalty that you've developed, they will drive across town to go to your restaurant versus the restaurant next door. That means they'll go to your website, or they'll go to your place of business before they'll go to someplace that might be more convenient, because they like that customer service. And the thing is, we're doing this in order to develop those loyal customers. And we have another video that you should watch after this that goes really in depth to all the different ways you can develop loyal customers. But I want to give you a few of the highlights, okay? One thing that really helps is having a strong brand. If people can identify with your brand, like that brand is made for me, that's going to get them to be more loyal. I see what's out there. Why is it that I talk about Culver's restaurants so much? Well, the thing is, I go there, they're friendly. I like to be friendly. They're more aw shucksy. Could you be more aw shucksy than me, right? And also, it's family friendly. And I've got my kids. I like to go with them to eat and stuff like that. So there's stuff all for that. So I really identify with that. And that helps me really latch onto that brand. And you might see us, maybe there's a clothing line that really calls to you. Like, yeah, this is my line of clothes. Like my oldest, he loves his Vans shoes. Why? Because they're cool, they're different, they're comfortable. What's he? Cool, different, comfortable. You really get that kind of identification with that brand. That's going to help develop loyal customers. Also, if you have unique merchandise, if you're the one that's got something that just really calls out to them, kind of leads off that, it really does make a difference. Because the thing is, if I see that they're making a product that seems like it's tailored towards me, it means a lot. If you are, have celiac, you're gluten intolerant, does it mean something to you when they have gluten-free options? Or if you're vegan and they have vegan options, like, oh, thank goodness there's something for me, you have that kind of loyalty to them. It's like, wow, you went out of your way to make a product that's geared towards me and my special stuff. That's awesome. And that can create some loyalty by having that unique merchandise for them. and of course, just overall superior customer service. If you're treating customers better than other people are, it's gonna rub off on them. They're gonna see that, man, this is really great customer service. I really like coming here because they treat me so well. I feel that I'm valued. I feel that me coming there, they're thanking me and they really appreciate my business versus, yeah, give me your money, here's your food. It's like, no, thank you for coming, really appreciate it. Hope to see you back. I'm like, aw, at least somebody likes me. So you do have those things, okay? And so make sure you do go to the video that goes on to a lot of stuff about loyal customers and how to develop them. But I thought this would be a good way to kind of give you an idea of what customer excellence is in sustainable competitive advantages, so you have a rough idea what you should be looking out for, okay? So what are some companies that have excellent customer service that really draw you back, that you really feel that it's a customer excellence, sustainable competitive advantage that they have that gets you coming back? Put in the comments section below so we can have some discussions about some good companies. And also, if you have ones that have really bad customer service, put that in there too, because maybe they'll follow along and they can learn how to do a better job. Anyway, I'll say bye from here in Savannah, Georgia. Hey there, students. We're back, and today we're going to talk about some of the differences between clients and customers, because I know for a lot of people, just the vocabulary is an interchangeable word. But the thing is, the difference between a client and a customer is something up here. It's how you treat them, it's how you think about them, it's how you deal with them. These kind of difference can make a big difference from having someone that just comes to your store versus someone that promotes your store, cares about your store, tells people that, hey, you really need to go here. This is an awesome restaurant. This is an awesome place. And so you have these different kind of mentality. And so if you want to think of it this way, in terms of like a B2B setting, a lot of times we'll think of our people we sell to as our clients. Clients are people, okay? They have names. We collect information on them, so you have a database knowing about them. Hey, oh, it's Mark's birthday in November, and he's got 2 kids, and he loves to travel, so you have a better idea about who that client is. Who is that person that's coming to buy from us? And so you end up dealing with clients in more of a one-to-one or one-on-one basis, so you get to know that client. So what'll happen is a lot of times you might have it so you have one person that's assigned to you. So I know for YouTube, they have us as our client managers. They actually have what I deal with one person. So Grace is the one who always talks to me, always works with me and just with me, so we can develop a relationship over time, because that's what you want to do with your clients. You develop that relationship so you have a stronger bond, so therefore you're willing to work together more, help each other more, do business together with each other more than what you would if you didn't have a relationship. And that's why when you have a B2B market where there's a lot less people you're selling to in general, you're going to have a lot more of this client mentality. Now, when you're dealing with like more of a B2C setting, a business to consumer setting, like at a restaurant or, a fast food restaurant, or at like H&M or the Gap or any of these like clothing stores where just someone comes in, someone goes out, it's fast casual food and fast casual clothes. That is more of a customer kind of thing. It's not that you have an individual name for those clients. It's like, oh, there's the dad buying for his kids. There's the mom trying to look younger again. There's the this or that. Like, you don't generalize in a client, but in a customer, you do. You're like, oh, they're coming with your 3 kids. They're buying a big car, right? They're buying a minivan. I'm not going to try to sell them the Mustang, okay? And so you have this kind of mentality that they're not necessarily a person that I'm going to get to know. They're more of a sale I'm going to get. And that's why you put them more in a customer mentality than a client mentality. So they're kind of like the nameless rabble of people. And what you end up doing is you kind of mass market to them. You find a common denominator between everybody. Oh, everybody likes to have fun. So our commercials for Coke are going to be more, let's have fun. And everyone likes to have that. Versus on that client side where you're going to learn that Mark likes travel. So we're going to talk about travel. This one, we're going to be like, oh, everyone likes, fun. And so we'll talk about fun, just a general kind of thing for a customer. And so what happens in that customer kind of mentality, you're not making customer specific, client specific products. What you're doing is you're finding more of general commonalities that are going to work for that whole big customer base, because usually you're selling to a lot of people. So sometimes you got to think that way. So for the clothes, we think, well, blue is a popular color for men. So we'll make blue shirts and sell blue shirts because that's the most general, most popular thing. Even though I like salmon myself, that looks good on me. Blue's okay as well. but they know that, look, we're going to go for the one that's going to tick off the most boxes at once. That's why if you go and buy the graphic tees at Walmart, they have Ghostbusters in general. They have a Game of Thrones in general. They don't necessarily have a tailored specific thing. It's not like they're going to have, it'll be all of Star Wars. It won't just be, Lando Calrissian, because there's not enough people that like just Lando or just Han or something like that. They'll do more of a general one. Whereas a client-focused one, we're like, hey, I know you love Lando. We're going to get you a Lando gift specifically for you. So you have these kind of different things you're looking at. And when we're looking at dealing with the customers, in the client side of things, you have someone special designated for you. When you're looking at just kind of customers, it's almost like a first come, first serve kind of thing. Whoever is at the door when you walk into the clothing store at the mall, that's the person that's going to help you, okay? You might have bought a ton of clothes for that person in the back, but hey, they weren't there, you weren't in their section at that time. Too bad, okay? So that's one thing you got to look at, is it's just kind of a first come, first serve. We don't necessarily make that relationship kind of thing. And since we don't have that relationship kind of stuff, you don't get the loyalty, you don't get that commitment from the customer mentality kind of people versus the client mentality kind of stuff. So sometimes you don't have a choice. You can do a client-based thing if you have a small number of clients. It's easy to get to know their names. But when you're dealing with thousands of clients, it's a lot more difficult to do that. So you really have to weigh kind of which way you're going to go based on your number of clients and what you're selling, because also the kind of product will kind of dictate if it's more of a client versus customer kind of setup. But I just want to give you that idea out there, because in general, the client mentality one, making it more of a relationship-based thing, is going to get you more loyal customers, probably make you more money in their per purchase stuff later, versus a customer mentality, which is more of a one-off, you're in, you buy the shirt, I don't care if I ever see you again kind of thing. So I hope that helps you understand kind of the different mentalities out there between a client-focused mentality versus a customer-focused mentality. If you want to learn more about marketing, check us out on our website. Also, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, click the like button to help us out. And if you want to learn more about marketing, we have plenty of videos to help you out. We even have videos to help you start your own YouTube channel, so do check those out as well. So please do subscribe. Bye. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we are here outside of El Patio, my favorite Mexican restaurant there is, Liam's favorite one. Our whole family's like, we love this place. And companies and restaurants love to have customers that love them, loyal customers, because loyal customers help you stay in business. And you want to have loyal customers that wear your t-shirt that say they're the #1 fan. You have them that they cry when you think they're closed. Oh yeah, they were putting in no floors last week and Liam was crying because he was so sad he thought they might close. And having customers that are really brand champions for you, that talk about you, tell people to go there, eat there a lot, go there a lot, shop there a lot, are fantastic. And there's some things that you can do to build up those loyal customers, because a lot of people forget that loyal customers that come back are so much better than having to go get new customers all the time. And the big part of that is it's a lot cheaper to maintain a customer and a customer relationship than it is to go out and get a new customer. Think about it. Any of you ever gone on a date before and you're like, oh my God, it takes so long to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner or somebody. Oh, it's such a drag. And then you finally get somebody and you kind of stick with them for a while because it's a lot easier to maintain that relationship as opposed to going and finding a new one. And for businesses, it's the same way with loyal customers. You want to get that relationship, nurture it so they keep coming back again and again. Because the thing is, loyal customers don't just come back, they also purchase more when they do shop. So example, here at El Patio, if we go to other Mexican restaurants in some other city, obviously, when we go there, we don't always get queso and the extras and stuff like that. But when we come here, yeah, we'll get the extra queso and we'll get the grande queso, not the small one. And yeah, maybe I'll have an extra margarita when we're there to sit and talk with the workers and stuff like that. You have those things, and loyal customers do spend more. Another place, and I'm sure some of my students are going, how could you not be filming this in front of Culver's? Well, Culver's is another restaurant I really love. It's a fast food burger place, but the thing, it's a very family friendly kind of thing, and we love going there. And the thing is, when we go to any other fast food place, we never get dessert for the kids and stuff like that. But every time we go to Culver's, you know what? The kids will get their little custard at the end. And you know what? I might grab a custard too at the end as well, because I'm willing to spend more money. And that's the thing is, loyal customers spend more on each visit when they come, and it's more likely they might tip more if you're at a restaurant and things like that. So that's another really great thing about loyal customers. Now, another good thing about loyal customers is they're usually willing to pay more money for what they want, which means as a company, you're having less negotiations, less haggling with your normal customers because they know how things work. You don't have to explain as much about the product. You don't have to go through all the steps and things like that, which is really nice. And the thing is, those loyal customers, since they know how the firm works, it's a lot easier dealing with them, working with them, and things like that. For example, the restaurant here, El Patio, when we come in, if they're getting slammed, we know that we can just sit down. We don't need to wait to be seated because we know where the open spots are. They don't have to explain, well, if you want to see what our menu specials are, they're up here at the front. We already know that, so we can kind of skip through things. So ordering is faster, paying is faster, things like that, because we know, oh, you can go pay at the front. You have these kind of things. And that's what's cool. Think about it yourself. Do you shop at Amazon a lot? You do that because it's so easy to do because you already know how the system works. When you go to a new website to order, you're like, wait, where do I put my address in? Do I have to pay tax on that? What about shipping? I'm not really sure. You have those different things. But loyal customers, they already know how it works, so it's less work for you. And they do spend a bit more, and that's a really nice thing because you're not using as much energy on them because you're focusing on doing your job as opposed to telling them all the things they need to know because they already know them. But the thing is how do we create these loyal customers? Because it's not just, oh, I love their food. There's a lot more that goes into it. And one thing you can look at, and this is where I think Culver's has done a really great job, is they have a very clear positioning. Like Culver's is a family-friendly burger place where you can go and have a nice meal and people will treat you nicely with that Wisconsin aw shucksness. And the food's good too. So when I go there, I know I don't have to worry about bad music coming on when I've got my little kids there listening to stuff. I know the food will come out hot and fresh, so I'm not getting stale burgers or stale fries. It's all right there. And also they're a family setting, so they don't give the ice cream right away, or I should say the custard right away. What they do is like, no, eat your meal, and then the kid has to go up and get it afterwards, which is a nice way that they're like, look, you can bribe your kids to finish their food. You don't really have that problem there. Their cheese curds are great. But these are things you got to think about. Because if the company, what you're doing, feels like it's designed for that client, they're more likely to be loyal. Now, the thing is developing that relationship with the client isn't always an easy thing. And sometimes you just don't have enough connection with them to create that loyalty feeling. So another thing you might see is loyalty programs, okay? Like we fly with Delta and we have our Delta Sky Miles. I'm a Platinum Medallion member. Why? Because I fly with them a lot, and I know the more I fly with them, the more upgrades I'm going to get and free upgrades and stuff like that. So I want to fly with them more. So they're kind of paying for my loyalty with all those free benefits. And that's what companies do, whether it's a sandwich shop or a pizzeria giving you the 10th pizza free or the 10th sandwich free or a kind of a Starbucks kind of thing, your 6th latte is free. They're doing these things to create that loyalty. Because then you're like, well, do I want to go fly with some other airline when I've got all these miles, when I've got all these possible upgrades? Of course not. And so then I'm willing to spend more money for that Delta flight versus some other airline. And another thing that really helps in creating this idea of really loyal customers is look at them as not as one-time customers, but lifelong customers. And a lot of it comes into kind of your mentality when you're thinking about your clients. I kind of look at it in terms of car dealers because there's new car dealers and there's used car dealers. And if you think about it, a used car dealer, when you go buy a used car, why are you buying a used car? Because you can't afford a new one, right? And so you're looking for the cheapest price. So people are loyal to the cheap price and not to the car dealer, the used car dealer. And the used car dealer knows that. So they've got to get every single dime they can out of you because you might not come back because you're going for the cheapest thing. And so therefore, they're trying to figure out every little dime. Now that's different if it's a new car dealership. You go to a new car dealership, they're treating you nice. Oh, here's some, here, sit in our waiting area, have a drink, have a snack, no problem. Because for them, they're looking at a long-term customer value. Because the new car dealer knows, oh, if you're a college student, you're going to buy that first car out of college. And then when you finally get that real good job, you're going to buy that first new, you're going to get your Ford Fiesta, first off, little tiny car. And then you're going to get your Ford Mustang because things are going well. And then you're going to get married, and you're going to have kids, and then you're going to get the minivan, right? And then you're going to realize, I don't want a minivan, I want something bigger. And so you're going to get your Ford Expedition. And then later on, when you have your midlife crisis, you're going to get another Mustang. And start thinking about that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars in 20 years. All of a sudden, it's not we're making $1,000 off someone in a one-time used car sale. Now we're selling them hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cars and service and parts and recommendations they're going to give to us. And so all of a sudden, if you think of these clients in terms of it's not a one-time customer, it's a 20-year customer, you really start to think of them differently. That's why when you're looking at your friends you've been with a long time, you treat very different than the person you just met who you think they could be a good friend versus your lifelong friend. So you kind of think of it in a different way. And if you do that, it really helps you have the mentality that you need to really create those loyal customers. Because believe me, when you go into El Patio and you're getting the queso with your kid and he's bawling his eyes out because he thinks they're closed, you know you've done something right. So to all those companies that we really support, we love going to, like El Patio and Culver's and Delta, you've got us, and we'll spend more money to be with you because we're loyal clients, and that's what you're going to look for when you're a business, okay? So what are some of the things you see that your favorite companies do that get you to be loyal, whether it's a restaurant or a clothing place or something like that? Let us know in the comment section below so people can see how other companies have got their loyal customers to keep coming back. Well, I'm sure my order is waiting for me inside because I got to go have some great Mexican food. I wish you all the best, and I'll say bye from here at El Patio. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in Paris. And today we're going to talk about is customer share. And what customer share is basically all the purchasing that a customer makes. How much of that is coming to our business? How much of their money is being spent on our products and our services versus their overall total budget? Their share of customer, their share is all the money they're going to spend. So if you think about it, for a person, what do we spend our money on? You know, if I think about the money in my wallet now, where is it going to go? I know I got to pay my rent, right? So there's money there, and I got to pay my phone bill, right? And I've got to buy my food, right? And I've got to, I've got entertainment I've got to do. And so there's all this money that you're spending. And what happens is we kind of divide it up into different things. So I think about, okay, my bank gets my mortgage money, and my credit card company gets that, and then my food budget goes to the grocery store. We kind of divide it all up. So what companies are trying to do is figure out what are all the purchases of services and products that customers make that we could offer to them. So I'm here in Paris, so I'm thinking about travel, right? So you can think of share of travel. What are all the things you buy with travel, right? You get a plane ticket, you get travel insurance, you rent a car, you buy tickets to like places like Notre Dame or Eiffel Tower, you get maybe a car rental. There's all these things you're spending money on. And so an airline like Delta, they used to just sell tickets, and that was the only way they got money from you. Now what have they done? They've expanded. Now when you buy a plane ticket, they always offer you what? They offer you to buy travel insurance, right? Because you might need it when you're abroad. Another thing they'll do is they'll say, hey, wait, you're going to be traveling. Maybe you need accommodation. So they'll offer you accommodation options. Oh, do you want to rent a car? We can give you a car rental. And so what they're doing is before they only got that little percentage of your travel, of your share of travel in the ticket. Now they're getting all this other stuff to increase the amount of money that they can make. And the thing is, it's not just travel. This can be in any business. Think about it in terms of banks. Banks used to be, oh, that's where my checking account was. Then it was your checking and savings account. Then there's your checking account, savings account, then my mortgage, my car loan, my credit card. All these things, they're finding ways to get more and more of a percentage of your spend, okay? And that's what they're trying to do. And if we think about college students, what are all the ways that universities separate college students from their money? It's not just the tuition. That's why when they say, how much does college cost? Well, tuition's one thing, but all of it together costs a bit more. And so we think about it. There's tuition, there's books, there's housing, right? There's clothing you might buy. All these kind of things universities are trying to get into, right? So they have the tuition you buy. They offer you dorm rooms that you can stay in. They sell you t-shirts with their university names on it. These kind of things, they're trying to increase their student spend, right? Their share of students' money, all right? And that's what we're trying to do when you think of share of customer or share of wallet. In what way can we expand out our business so our customers are spending more percentage of their money on us, okay? So I hope that helps you understand what share of customer is, share of wallet, share of travel. It can be for whatever industry. Anyway, I wish you a great day here from beautiful Paris, and have a great time studying for your exams or learning a bit about marketing. And if you have any tips on helping expand people's perspective in terms of how they can expand the kind of products that they should offer to their clients to help increase their share of customer, let us know in the comment section below. Anyway, bye from Paris. Hey there, students. So we're back, and now we're here in Noank, Connecticut, actually outside of Ford's Lobster. This place is the bomb. They have this thing called the Lobster Bomb. Oh my God, it's so good. You really should try it. And every time we come here to Mystic, we come here at least 3 or 4 times during the week while we're here. And the thing is, it got me thinking about the different kind of customers that companies actually do have. And so what we're going to talk about today are the different types of customer groups that companies have. And then we can kind of figure out is how do we focus on them, or do we focus on them when we're looking to build our business and things like that. And so we're going to do with these kind of customer groups, there's a lot out there, but I want to focus on 4, okay? And in this one, we're going to look at is the differences in terms of profitability. Like, can we make a lot of money off these clients or a little money off these clients? But also, we're going to look at loyalty. How likely are they going to come back and buy from us again and again and again? Because if they come back again and again and again, hey, we're going to be fine. But they only come one time. Well, do we do as much as we can to sell to them that one time? What are we going to do? Okay, so there is kind of a matrix out there, and you'll see in your book and things like that on the slides where it has loyalty versus profitability, and you have that. Now, the one that you probably would notice the most and what a tourist is, they're called butterflies. And butterflies are very profitable, okay, because they spend a lot of money and they do a lot of stuff, but they're not very loyal. I mean, think about it. When you see a butterfly, you're like, oh, it's a butterfly, and it makes you so happy, but then it just floats away, and you're like, oh, but for that little bit of time, I was so happy with that butterfly, with that client. And so what you'll see is you'll have this with tourists, okay? Or you might look at it in terms of, you might see it as students at a college bar. Look, if you're a tourist, you're going to go to a location, spend a lot of money for that short period of time, and then you leave. For example, here at Ford's, we come here every year we come, we go and stop by, and we get a lobster bomb. My kids get a mac and cheese, lobster mac and cheese, a lobster, avocado sandwich, and of course we'll pick up a t-shirt and a hat and a sticker, and so we'll spend a lot of money. But the thing is I'm only here once, maybe twice a year. So it's not really a long-term loyal kind of thing because I don't live anywhere near here. And so what they're going to do and try to, in terms of getting those butterflies to come here, is they're going to advertise in the local tourism board. They're going to say, hey, if you're looking to come to Mystic, Connecticut, this is the place you should come eat and things like that. So they're going to really try to inspire people to come for that one time, if they're in that industry that has a lot of butterfly customers, okay? If you look at it in terms of a college bars know that, look, students will go wherever the best deal is or the theme is, and that's what they do. Some will have student night, so it's like dollar you call it, okay? Because they know we can make a lot of money off them that one night, but we know the next night they might not come, okay? So you're really focusing on just that one-off kind of client to make as much money as possible, because you never know when they're gonna come back. Now, another customer group I want to look at are what we call true friends. Now, true friends, these are, think about your true friends. They're very profitable, right? You enjoy hanging out with them, makes you really happy. Well, customers that are true friends, what makes companies happy? Hey, when they make a lot of money off them, yes, but also when they have very loyal customers, because true friends stick with you. And so these are the customers that you bring them a lot of value as a business, but also they bring a lot of value to you, and they might help promote your business. Say, oh, you should go here and eat here, and and they eat there all the time, kind of stuff. I mean, if you watch my videos and you're in my class, you probably hear me talk about Culver's. Okay, it's a burger place from Wisconsin. It's getting all over the U.S., and I love them because they're friendly service. They're so nice. The cheese curds are fantastic. The custards for the kids, it's great. And the thing is, that's a true friend. They're help promoting your product. But also, I go there, obviously, a little too often, okay? But you have that. So for these kind of customers, what you're going to focus on is, how do we develop a long-term customer relationship, okay? How do I get them to come back again and again and again? And so you'll see companies that'll build their brand to fit in with that customer. So I'm a family man. I've got a couple kids. I want to have a nice family experience. I don't want to carry my food. I got to deal with my kids. I don't want to carry all this stuff. So what does Culver's do? They bring the food to me. They have a friendly atmosphere. I'm not worried about, music with cuss words flying around like I have at other restaurants. It's a family-friendly thing, and that gets me to go back. And therefore, I talk about it a lot, and they make a lot of money off of me. So that's that true friends kind of thing. Now, on the other side of things, we can look at people that, we're not making a lot of money off of, okay? So if you want to look at what are called barnacles, now if you're not sure what a barnacle is, you see these boats out here? If they don't clean off their boats, underneath there's these little barnacles, these like little shells that grow on there, and these little animals that are on there, and they just float along with the boat. Now, they don't really damage the boat, but they go everywhere the boat goes. And these kind of customers, they're very, very loyal, but we don't make any money off of them. So think about Ferrari, okay? So Ferrari has, people that cheer for their Formula One team, go Ferrari, yeah! And they'll buy a keychain, and they'll buy a poster, and we have a Ferrari shoes for my little kid, okay? We have that, but I can't spend $500,000 on a Ferrari. So for me, yes, I am loyal. I'm a barnacle for Ferrari. I'm loyal to them in terms of I buy those little things, but I'm not profitable for them because I don't spend the big money on them. So that's one thing. So what you might see is some brands will really focus on, hey, you know what? We know you're not going to buy our products, but we can at least give you some options. That's why you have all the Ferrari stickers and posters and little cars and things like that. And versus other customers that say, you know what? We don't really necessarily want you. So there's different things you can do. And then you have what are called strangers, okay? Strangers are not loyal, okay? And they're not profitable because your product offerings, your value proposition doesn't really relate to them. I mean, there's no point in trying to send me, to for example, here, think, oh, there's adventure kayaking with sharks. I'm like, adventure kayaking with sharks? Are you kidding? I am a shark. Like, sharks would love me, and kayaks sink with me in them. That is not what I want. And so when you realize that people fit into that kind of strangers quadrant, you're not going to do anything to go for them because you're better off focusing on developing more true friends or getting those butterflies that are coming by to help get them to spend more money when they do come. So I hope this helps you understand a bit better these different customer groups based on profitability and loyalty. If you want to learn more, we've got plenty more business videos out there to help you out. So we wish you to check them out. Anyway, have a good time and bye from Connecticut. And yes, I'm going to go have some more lobster bomb because, oh my goodness, it's a bread bowl with lobster inside, like half pound of lobster, fresh lobster, because it's coming from right there. And they put lobster bisque in that as well. Oh, you understand why I look like this, right? Anyway, bye from Connecticut. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in Huntsville, Alabama at the Depot Museum, and today we're going to continue our discussion on sustainable competitive advantages. And what we're going to do now is actually look at what we call operational excellence. Like, if you run your company better, that can give you a sustainable competitive advantage over your competition. So for example, if you look at sports teams, if they have a better coach that can train their players up right and get them to play better, that's going to give teams an advantage. That's why you have teams like the Patriots or the San Antonio Spurs and stuff like that year after year usually are pretty good because their coaches get the best out of their players. So that can add value there, and that helps them stay ahead. If you think about it, it could be, maybe you're scouting. You figure out who are going to be the best players. If I'm not going to get the first pick in the draft, I'm going to get the 50th pick. Can I find a diamond in the rough there? That's going to help you out. And so when you look at it, what we're really trying to do is trying to develop a really efficient and effective operations for our business. Okay, and this is going to go throughout our firm, whether it's in our supply chain, it's our management, human resources, our accounting, our finance department, all these things there. If we do a better job at that, we can do better. Because if you think about it, a well-managed company is going to succeed. And if you have a badly or poorly managed company, no matter how good your products are, even great companies go out of business with bad management. So we want to kind of think about those things. And so if we can figure out, in terms of this operational excellence, if we can figure out a way to have an efficient way to operate our business to get our customers what they want faster, how they want it, when they want it, in a way that they feel it's really a value to them, that's going to get them to actually buy from us more often. And the thing is, if we can do that at a lower cost than our competition, that's going to help us maintain an advantage over them. And those extra profits we can use that into helping our company run even better, make us more efficient, make our supply chain even better. And that's why a lot of times supply chain management and strong relationships with our suppliers kind of go along with that operational excellence. Because you think about that, if I can get exclusive territorial rights, I'm the only person that can sell these Krispy Kreme donuts in this area, that's going to help me out. Or if you can negotiate better, you can be the one that negotiates those rights to be the exclusive energy supplier for a town or something like that. These things can give you an advantage. And the thing is with that negotiations, if we're negotiating a better price for our products, then the thing is we can pass that savings on to our customers so they're willing to come back and buy from us more often. Also, if you think about it, if we're good at this, we might be able to get, products that are in short supply when other people can't. Because think about it, there's a restaurant that has the freshest fish in town, has or a grocery store that has the freshest produce in town. These things that get people to come back again and again and again because they consistently get those freshest ingredients. And then another one I think is really important to talk about, and I related that in sports a little bit, but really human resource management is really one that really makes a big difference here in operational excellence. Because one, if you can go out and recruit people to come to your business and hire the best people, that's going to get you a heads up. But also retaining them, getting them to stay. If you don't want the employees leaving all the time, like Liam going around here in a circle again and again, you don't want that, rotating door with people leaving all the time, because then you got to retrain them, and those things cost money. So if we can get a way to keep our employees to stay, that's going to help us out. And if we know how to train them as well to get them to excel in the positions they're in, that's going to be a big difference. And that's where really the sports things come in, because, people will address, well, the first pick in the draft is going to be the best player ever, but it's not always the case. And sometimes they say, look, sometimes being number one in the draft isn't the best because you're not going to the right situation. And operational excellence really shows there is a difference in the type of companies you work for, because if you get a good management team, good training and stuff like that, it can make a big difference and help you consistently be ahead of your competition. And that's why it gives you that sustainable competitive advantage, because we have a better management team that manages better, that keeps us working better, keeps us being a success, and it goes a long way. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about operational excellence in terms of those 4 main competitive advantages, or sustainable competitive advantages. Anyway, I wish you all the best, and bye from here in Huntsville, Alabama. Liam, you want to say bye?
Bye.
You can say bye. You want to say bye?
I just said.
You want to say again?
No.
No? All right, well, I'll say bye for him. Bye. Hey there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we're here at Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta. And today we're going to talk about our more sustainable competitive advantages. And this time what we're going to focus on is product excellence. How can we get it that our product is consistently seen as a better product than the competition, therefore people buy ours over the competition? And if you look behind me over here, you'll see the world of Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola is a great example of developing a sustainable competitive advantage using product excellence. Because one of the key things you need to do when you're developing product excellence, sustainable competitive advantages, say that 10 times fast, you have to develop products with a high perceived value. Think about it. You go to a party and somebody brings a 2-liter of Coke, they're cool. If somebody brings a 2-liter of the cheap Aldi Cola or Sam's Cola, you're like, dude, I can't mix anything with that. Why are you being so cheap? And people are willing to pay a lot more for that Coca-Cola versus that Aldi brand, okay? So you have to think about that. If you think about it in other contexts, think about it when you're getting shoes, right? If you get a nice pair of leather shoes, oh, those are nice, versus that plasticky, leathery stuff, you're like, oh, I can tell there's a difference. Or maybe if you look at it in terms of your headphones. I mean, think about when you've got those Beats headphones, they feel heavier on your head, you feel like they're got better music, you really feel the music, versus those cheap little gummy ones that you get at Walgreens because there's no other, headphones around. You do see a difference there. And if you can get that perceived value, look, we actually do make a better product. We have higher quality stuff in there that can help. And the thing is, it can be really tough to develop these product excellence, sustainable competitive advantages, because if you have a product that's really easy to imitate, it's hard to make it seem like it's better. I mean, think about it. We've got the Big Mac. Well, there's a Big King or a Hesburger in Finland. You have Coca-Cola, there's Pepsi Cola, there's RC Cola, there's Sam's Cola. There's all these things out there that are really easy to imitate, or have been made that are easily imitating your product. And so you have to think about that as, man, it's really hard to have that better product. Because let's say you make a cool shirt, oh, we have the coolest designs. Well, people can match that design in no time flat. Oh, it's a new kind of blue. Well, in 6 weeks, you'll have Zara with that same new color blue out there. So you have to think about that. Because if you think about it, can you really name a difference between a Toyota Camry and a Honda Accord and a Ford Taurus? I mean, if they're around anymore, they all kind of sound like the same thing. And that's the problem. So we have to think about in our brand, what we need to do is to make those products seem better. We need to develop a better sustainable competitive advantage and develop our brand, so therefore people see that it's worth more. What you see is companies really focus on their branding and product positioning in order to get that product excellence, okay? Because we start to develop our brand so it looks like it's better. We talk about it as better. We get people to really love it and want it, like Coca-Cola. We got the world of Coca-Cola here. I mean, there's a museum just on Coke. I mean, that's one of those things you do. And so you have that, or maybe you really develop a product position that really focuses your brand on a certain thing. For example, Head and Shoulders, it is dandruff, right? It is dandruff control shampoo. And so we do that. And that's going to give us a product excellence. It's going to give us a sustainable competitive advantage, because when people think about dandruff control, they're going to think about Head and Shoulders. So you have that. And the thing is when companies really tend to focus on developing that brand, it helps them get a better perceived value of their products overall and helps them give that sustainable competitive advantage. And so they do this by, like I said, having that clear positioning. I mean, think about it. When I say Mercedes, you have an idea of what you're going to get. When I say, BMW, you have an idea what you're going to get. When I say Ford, it's a Ford. You have an idea of what you're going to get. When I say Coca-Cola, the wonderful world of Coca-Cola, right? You know what you're going to get. You have these kind of ideas in there because they made their position extremely clear. And so you look at that, all right? Another thing you see companies do is they actually develop a distinctive brand image. It really stands for something. Think about it, back in the day, you had the PC versus Mac stuff, right? So you had the cool kind of hipster Mac, guy represented that, and the old fat loser kind of dude that made, the PC kind of stuff. It really set a distinctive image. Look, our brand is about being cool. That's what we are. And therefore people identify with that brand because I identify as cool, not as some old fart. Right? So you do have those things. And because what we're really trying to do is build a lasting brand. And that's one thing that Coke has really done a great job is they've built a lasting brand. You can get different colas all around the world, but there's only one Coca-Cola, and that's what you want to have, right? And so you have to think about that. But the thing is, though, it's not just about branding. It's not the only thing that's going to help you get product excellence. Yes, you're making a better product or a tastier product or something like that. Another thing you might want to look at in terms of your product excellence is if you're constantly innovating, you're always coming up with new products. I mean, think about it. People line up outside the Apple stores to get those new iPhones for a reason because they're constantly innovating. And so you can do that to really inspire customers to come back again and again and again. So I'm not going to wait for the new Samsung or something like that. I know there's new Apple coming in. They're always innovative, so I'm going to grab an Apple or something like that. So you have to think about those things. Because think about it, when a company comes out with new products consistently, you're not going to buy the old iPhone, you're going to buy the newest iPhone, right? Like, oh, there's another one coming out in September, it's close to September, I'm just going to wait till it comes out because I want to have the newest, coolest thing. And that's going to help inspire people to stick with you, okay? So I hope this helps you understand better about some of the sustainable competitive advantage in terms of product excellence. Sorry that it switches between cameras, but I got in trouble for filming. So I will let you go and have a great time, and bye from Atlanta. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're here on the beaches of Aruba to talk about location excellence in sustainable competitive advantages. Because I'll be honest, Aruba has a sustainable competitive advantage in their location because they're in the Caribbean, the Southern Caribbean, which is gorgeous with the beautiful water and waves and stuff like that. But also, they're not in the hurricane belt, so they're not worried about the hurricanes coming through in July, August, September, October, November, where you have to worry about that if you're thinking of going to Cuba or Santo Domingo or Puerto Rico or something like that. And so they have this advantage. And so what I want to talk about today are this idea of location advantage in sustainable competitive advantages, okay? Now, if you're looking at in terms of location, obviously, if we can get a location that's going to give us an advantage over our competitors, that's going to help. Now, we can't move our business to Aruba. I wish we could because it's so beautiful here. And so what you end up seeing is, it's kind of like this. Have you ever wondered why when there's a new big intersection somewhere and there's a new building going up, it usually has a Walgreens or a CVS pharmacy or something like that right there? Because Walgreens and CVS know we need to be at a big intersection. We need to be where multiple roads are coming through, because then people, if they're going to work or coming home from work, they're going to come and buy from us because we're convenient. Because think about it, if you have your shop in the subdivision or near the subdivision, there are people that will go to the closest shop to buy the toilet paper they just ran out of, the diapers they just ran out of, and things like that, instead of driving the 20, 30, 40 minutes to go to the big box store, right? And so you use that convenience for your advantage. I mean, think about real estate. What are the key parts of real estate? The three key parts: location, location, location. And that's what the Walgreens and stuff are doing. Also, Starbucks does that. When they're putting in their Starbucks coffee shops in all these high traffic areas, they know that people want to buy coffee and they're going to buy it from whoever has it. So we need to be in every location that's possible, because it's really hard to beat convenience. I mean, think about it. What's your favorite coffee shop? Is it out of the way, or is it on your way to work? Is it by your work? Is it by your home? There's usually a kind of a convenience part of it. That means, look, I love my vanilla chai from, Dunkin' Donuts, but I'm usually by Barnes & Noble and I like my friends there, so I go to the Barnes & Noble and get that because it's by where I work. And that's why retailers and stuff like that do locate closer to their customers. Now, another thing you might not think of when I think location is actually your website, if you have a good website. I mean, think about Amazon. It is so easy to shop on Amazon that we just think about that. Instead of looking at the Hasbro.com website to buy a Hasbro toy, I'm just going to go to Amazon and do it there because their website is so simple. And that location of that website does make things a lot easier. And it keeps you buying. I mean, think about the location of, yeah, I can buy the toy or I can buy the video game there, and then they'll recommend, hey, don't forget you need a second controller so your kids don't fight against each other over the one controller. Oh, that's right. And so that's adding value to it, okay? And the thing is, to maintain the sustainable competitive advantage sometimes mean you have to keep buying more real estate. I mean, McDonald's is always looking for good spots to put a new store. Starbucks is always looking, where's there a lot of traffic and people are not walking with Starbucks? They're looking for these things. So you have to constantly keep up with that, because if you think about it, what was one time the nice neighborhood, maybe it's just the not as nice neighborhood. These things switch. And so that good location that's been a sustainable competitive advantage for 20 years might change because, oh, this neighborhood isn't the neighborhood anymore that we want to be in. We want to be in another neighborhood. Or maybe we want to open up another shop in another neighborhood. Because if we buy a shop in another neighborhood, that might actually keep our competitors out. I mean, there's a reason why you might see a Starbucks on both sides of the street. Because a Starbucks on this side and a Starbucks on this side, that Caribou Coffee might say, you know what? There's too many coffee shops there. We might not be able to make it, so we won't go there. So they've used that location to their advantage, okay? So I hope this helps you understand better what a sustainable competitive advantage is in terms of the location excellence. If you want to learn more, like the overall definition of sustainable competitive advantage, those are competitive advantages that companies have that they can maintain over the long term, though eventually they do kind of wear away like I was talking about. We have another video that goes through the basics of it with some of the other ones. So I hope it helps you out, and I'm going to enjoy this location advantage of Aruba by enjoying the sun and the sea. And I'll say bye from Aruba. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're at the Elder Mill Covered Bridge in Georgia, right outside Athens, Georgia. This cute bridge, and I had to make a video when I was here because it was too pretty not to make something for you. And today we're going to talk about are actually some of the sustainable competitive advantages that you see every day. And I know we have another video that talks about what are sustainable competitive advantages, how do companies come up with them, what are some of the more common ones out there, you know, like the product excellence, the location excellence, all those kind of things. We talk about that. But I want you to know about some that you might see every day in your very life. I mean, if you're watching this video, you might have Googled it, right? And so that's one of the kind of sustainable competitive advantages we see. And that is superior data management. You know how to take that information. You know how to use it better than everybody else. There's a reason why you say Google it and not Yahoo it, because Google just does a better job. They've been a sustainable competitive advantage over all their other search engine competition than anyone else. And so they do that. And that kind of goes along with another sustainable competitive advantage you might see, and that is strong research and development. If you're a company like Apple, like Google, that's always developing new cool things, that's going to give you an advantage over your competition that's always a step behind. So think about it. That new iPhone, why do people line up outside to get the newest one? Because they know it's going to be newer, better, faster, stronger, all those kind of things. And that does give them an advantage. Of course, though, not everything is tech-based. Another thing you might think about is speed or timing in terms of delivery. I mean, think about it. When you're hungry and you need to guarantee a pizza there in a quick time, you know which delivery pace delivers the fastest, right? And so you're like, how do they consistently deliver faster than all the other competition? They found a way in order to do that, okay? So you might look at that. Then, of course, another sustainable competitive advantage that we use a lot, we try to build up our brand popularity. I mean, that's the thing is people are a Coke person or a Pepsi person kind of stuff. And once you have that advantage that people lock into your brand, hey, that's one thing you could use to your advantage. It's hard to overcome. As much as I want you to get Walter's World Cola, man, we're never going to quite catch up to Coke because they have that advantage over us. Now, another thing you might look at in terms of production for companies is sometimes if they have the ability to make high volume production, like they can make a lot of something, they could have a better advantage over a new startup that can only make a few of a certain product. Because think about it, if you could only make 10 cars, you can only sell so many cars. But if you can make 10,000 cars, you do have an advantage over those smaller competitors. Now, another sustainable competitive advantage that I'm sure you use in your daily life is what we call a low pricing competitive advantage. This would be what Aldi and Walmart are doing. They're doing everything they can to lower prices. So you notice when you go to Walmart, they're not wearing uniforms. They usually have a vest on or something like that so they can save money, because a uniform, that costs money. A vest is just a vest, and have people wear their own clothes to work, that can make a big difference. If you go to Aldi, notice there's not a lot of really cool signage and stuff like that. It's kind of like, here's a pallet of stuff. We have it on a pallet and not on a fancy shelf because we're saving you money. And so they build up these sustainable competitive advantages by figuring out how to have a cheaper supply chain, how to cut costs and things like that. Now, another thing you might look at is sometimes it deals with what you actually have or the relationships you have. So, for example, if you have the, monopoly for something, right? Like, for example, a lot of the utilities in towns are run by a monopoly, whether it's water or power or something like that. So that could give you a sustainable competitive advantage because you have an agreement with the city government that you will sell water to them for 10 years, or you might sell power to a whole state for 10 years or something like that. And so that does give you a sustainable competitive advantage because you've created a barrier to entry. Nobody else can come in. Now, another sustainable competitive advantage is superior customer service. And the thing is, with superior customer service, it doesn't happen overnight. I know a lot of companies say, we're gonna have the best service possible, but they don't necessarily always deliver on that. And so we have to think about it in terms of what do we need to do to sustain our competitive advantage in our services. So does that mean we got to train our personnel? Yes, we got to train our personnel. We might use technology to help deliver the same consistency again and again to get that same kind of service. And so you're doing those things. And I'm sure you have restaurants or stores you love their customer service for. Well, why don't you put in the comment section down below to give them a shout out. Hey, thank you for being good service and consistently doing that. So you see companies do develop that sustainable competitive advantage in terms of their service levels. Now, another thing you might look into is a sustainable competitive advantage might be going into developing exclusive supply chains or exclusive relationships with suppliers or retailers or distribution. So that's one of the things, like if you look at a company like Nike, right? They go in to get the exclusive rights to make the jerseys for the Brazil soccer team, right? Or Adidas will go for the German soccer team, or Nike will go for the women's US team, right? The best of the best. We want to be associated with that. We're going to sign a deal with them, and we're going to be exclusive distributors of women's US soccer team jerseys. And that's the thing is, if you can make those relationships, that's going to give you an advantage. Now, another thing you might look into is if you have an industry where having all of the kind of manufacturing capabilities or all the stuff that goes with it is extremely expensive, actually having the operational equipment, having that capital already in your company can give you a sustainable competitive advantage because we already have the things to make this steel. We already have the factories to make the cars, and that makes it almost impossible for competitors to come in unless something crazy happens. Because you think about it, what's all the infrastructure that a university needs? We need the staff, we need the faculty, we need the reputation, we need the coursework, we need all these things. We need the buildings, the classrooms and stuff like that. And so universities really held out competition for a long time until there was a game changer, which is online education. And now you see a lot more YouTube videos teaching you stuff. You see online universities and things like that. But in general, you think about it, having all of the infrastructure already there does give you an advantage over anyone else that wants to come in. And the last one I want to talk about, and there are a lot more, believe me, if you see other sustainable competitive advantages from companies you work with or you shop with or you buy from, put in the comment section below. But honestly, if you want to have one that's a really good sustainable competitive advantage that will keep you going, that is your corporate reputation. This is why companies work so hard to build up their reputation, and they have a lot of public relations to keep it up there. Because if you're known as the best university around, that goes a long way. Because think about it. That means the alumni from before, they want to donate and give back to keep up that prestige. The students that are going to school there, it makes it easier for them to get jobs. For the companies that are hiring, they're like, hey, we want to go to that university that has such good students because that great reputation. You have these things out there, so you build up the reputation, and it can give you a sustainable competitive advantage. I mean, think about it. If you have Harvard on your, resume, it's going to get your foot in the door because the reputation, oh, Harvard, you must be pretty smart, right? And so you have that. So you kind of think about those things. But anyway, I just want to put together this little video because this is too pretty not to film at. So I hope this does help you know some of the sustainable competitive advantages you might see out there in the world. And there are a lot more out there, like I said, so put in the comment section below. But I just wanted to help out because I know I talked about the big four, but there are other ones out there. And bye from here in beautiful Georgia. Hey there, fellow marketeers, Mark here, and today we're here in London, England, and today we're going to talk about our grand strategies, these big overall ideas of how a business will change. You know, what's our overall idea of what we want to do? And for businesses, they're kind of like people. I can get bigger, right? I could get smaller if I worked hard, of course. And of course, some people you just want to stabilize, and that's what businesses kind of do. Sometimes we're like, hey, I want to grow, right? I want to get bigger, I want to make more money, I want to sell more products, things like that. Other times we might think, you know what, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm a local pub. I've got my normal customers coming in. I don't want to get packed all the time. I just want to have my nice normal revenue stream. I don't want to grow bigger, but I don't want to get smaller. And that's another thing, is sometimes you have to have strategies to get smaller. Because if we're in bad economic times, you got to make cuts. What products do we get rid of? Who do we have to downsize? Things like that. There's these big overall strategies that companies have to think about, okay? So if we're thinking about different growth strategies, okay? Now, if you're going to get bigger, yeah, I want to sell more products. I want to do more stuff. Well, there's two ways you can do it. One, you can do what's called diversification, and that's where you kind of go outside and maybe buy a new company to get bigger that way. So for example, Google, they wanted to get bigger into video, so they bought YouTube. They diversified that way, right? You can do that. Or if you're an alarm system company, you know, a lot of them are very small companies, and the only way they can grow into new markets is sometimes to buy the alarm system company in another city. So you can do the diversification kind of stuff to grow that way. Also, probably what people mostly think of though when they want to grow is they want to do internal growth or expansion. So we want to sell maybe more products or more product lines, okay? So we might think it's like, what else could we sell? So, you know, Coke had Coke, and then they had Diet Coke and Coke Zero Sugar. Then, hey, Sprite, Fanta in all the different colors. They come up with all these new things to grow. That's why Fanta seems to have a new color every summer. So trying to figure out is how can we grow, okay? So you have those kind of strategies. But on the other side of it, sometimes you might be in an industry where it's saturated. There's no growth really. All I'm doing is trying to fight off my competition to maintain my 30% market share. So think about it. For a Ford or a Toyota, look, we've got our market share. I don't want to lose it to a Tesla or a Fiat or something like that. What's my strategy going to be? Because some companies don't realize that, look, if you're not going to make a stabilization strategy, you might lose customers just like that. I mean, Nokia was the biggest leader in the world in mobile phones, and now they're basically nothing. If they maybe would have had a stabilization strategy, hey, how do we just at least maintain our 30% market share, and then we can figure out how to grow later. You got to think about these things. A local bar, like I said before, maybe they don't want to have it so there's a line out the door every night. Look, I'm running my own bar. It's Mark's Pub. I want to have my normal clients. I want to make a nice, little living. I don't want to have 19 bars, okay? And I don't want to, shut down. I just want to have a nice, stable life. So what am I going to do? What are my business strategies going to be to have a stabilized business model? So you'll have that kind of strategy. And then of companies, of course, things don't always go right. We have to go smaller, right? We got to get smaller. Or what we call is retrenchment, okay? And if in the retrenchment, there's different ways we might do it. You know, sometimes companies do go out of business, so you liquidate the whole company. You know, like going out of business, everything must go. You do have that. But hopefully we don't get to that point. Sometimes we want to divest, maybe sell off a part of our company. Like, look, I can't afford this anymore. I'm going to sell this part off. So I'm going to, you know, Ford's like, I can't deal with the Jaguar stuff anymore. So they sold off their Jaguar division. They divested that out. They sold it off. And so they got smaller that way. And then of course there's the downsizing way where you're getting rid of your employees and stuff like that. You do have those things, and they're all part of a strategy. And for a business, you really have to figure out what it is your overall grand strategy is. Are we trying to get bigger? Are we trying to get smaller? Or are we just trying to maintain where we're at to maintain our market share? So I hope this helps you know kind of the basic overall grand strategies that businesses can have. If you want to learn more about business and marketing, please do click that subscribe button, and you have more business videos coming your way. Bye from London. Hey there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we are in Vienna, Austria at the Prater Park. It's a really cute amusement park here in Vienna. You know, they got some old school rides, they got some new school rides. If you look back there, you can see some of them out there. There's a famous Ferris wheel here, all kinds of cool stuff, but there's also some ones that are kind of dogs, kind of dead, like this one right behind me that no one is using. I've seen nothing happening there, and it looks like they haven't had water in there for a couple years. And it kind of got me thinking, look, if you're a company, you have a lot of different products you might sell, a lot of different business units. If you're an amusement park, you've got a lot of different rides, and these are called your portfolio of rides, your portfolio of products, your portfolio of services, all the different things that you do. And we have to manage those just like you manage your stock portfolio. Okay, I've got some tech, I've got some raw material stuff, I've got some healthcare. I mix it up because if I put all my eggs in one basket, if that goes bad, I could have problems, okay? And so the Boston Consulting Group came up with a portfolio analysis. Sometimes it's called the BCG matrix, and it's for companies to really look at all their units and say, okay, who's doing well, who's doing poorly, maybe where should we invest, where should we not invest, and things like that. And when they divide it up on one, they look at market share. Are we a big time market player? Like, do we have a big market share? Or are we a small time player? So small market share. And then they look at market growth rate. So is it a fast growing market or is it a slow growing market? And when you start dividing up your products, you'll see that a lot of them will fit in these different quadrants. Some are more near a line and stuff like that, but in general, they'll fit in different places, okay? And so if we go through each one of these quadrants, so up and down, you've got, market growth rate, because it makes it easier. The market share is on the bottom going left and right, so you have that. So the first quadrant I want to talk about is when you have a big market share, like you're a big time player, but the industry itself isn't growing too quickly. So if you think about it this way, that would be something like, red can Coca-Cola. Yeah, the soft drink industry isn't really growing too fast anymore, but red can Coke is a huge market player here. It's bringing money in. And the thing is, those cash cows, that money they make, you use that to finance other investments. And I'll talk about the stars and the question marks later, but that's just it. The cash cow gives you the money because it's just putting out cash for you to do stuff, okay? Some people call it a golden goose, right? And remember, you don't kill the golden goose. That's why usually you don't mess with your golden ticket, right? Your cash cow. And here in Prater, there's a famous Ferris wheel here. Now, there's not a ton of people like lining up for hours to go there like some of the other rides, but it consistently is making money. It's actually seen as a symbol of one of the symbols of the city of Vienna. And so you're like, yeah, that's our cash cow. We know people are going to go on that, the major Ferris wheel here, and we're going to be making money to invest and put up other rides, which is cool. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, we're going to stay in that, hey, we've got really good market share. And now we're going to look at is what happens? You have really good market share. And then we have super growth rate. So this might be the iPad, maybe 10 years ago when it first came out, and the iPad was like the biggest market share, and it was a star for Apple. And that's what you have. And that high market share, high growth rate, that's a star. This is one of the things you're like, yes, things are going great. You're going to invest more in there because they're the big time player and fast growing stuff. There's so much more money we can make from there. And so you really it shines. That's why it's called a star. It shines, it gives you money, all kinds of stuff, and it keeps growing. But the thing is, those stars don't always start out as stars. Sometimes you're a small time player, not a big time player. So let's say you're in a fast growing industry, okay? We're in the apps industry. It's really fast growing. All this stuff's there, but we're only a small time player, okay? So if you're a small time player, so small market share, but a fast growing industry, that is called a question mark because you don't know. Will it go well and become a star or will it crash down and become a dog? We don't know yet. But what we do know is this industry is growing so fast that there's potential for us. So maybe we can start small, but we can grow big. I mean, think about it. Nokia used to make, like wood products, okay? Then they started out with this. They were like, hey, mobile phones, that could be kind of big. They're growing. Why don't we try making a mobile phone? And it started out as a question mark. And then it grew huge to a big star. But now, of course, it's kind of a dog because no one's buying Nokia phones anymore. And that's why when you go from a question mark, it doesn't always end well. Eventually, sometimes you cycle through and you become a dog. And what a dog is when your product is in a low growth industry or no growth industry or maybe negative growth industry and you're a small time player. I mean, why would you even want to invest in anything? Why would you want that product around anymore? That's why the dogs out there, when economic times get tough, those are usually the first products, boom, that get kicked out the door, okay? I got to feed my family. I got to feed the cow, make sure I get some money coming in. I don't got money to feed the dog here. And that's what ends up happening. These are the products that get shooed to the side. And the thing is, I know you're thinking, well, why would anybody have a dog in their portfolio anyway? Well, the thing is it's not always starting out as a dog. Think about it. Sometimes it's a question mark that doesn't work out and it becomes a dog. Or sometimes products cycle through. I mean, think about the first PlayStation. When it came out, it was a total question mark because the console game industry was growing like crazy. And then we didn't know what we were going to be. And it started off as a small time player, right? And so it was a question mark. But then it just took off, and oh my gosh, that PlayStation 1 became a star. It ran Sega out of the industry and almost put Nintendo under and stuff like that because it did so well. But then over time, the growth rate slowed down, right? And it became a cash cow because, we're getting our money from the companies selling the software and stuff like that. Most people have already bought the gaming unit, but they still have it. So it became a cash cow for us. But the thing is, then the PlayStation 2 came out.
And when that became a star, I mean, are you going to buy a PlayStation 1 if there's a PlayStation 2 out there? No, I mean, I've got kids. I know myself. I don't want the old model of a console. I want the newest one. And so that PlayStation 1 that started as a question mark, went to a star, then a cash cow. By the time PlayStation 2 was out there and established, it became a dog. And nowadays, they don't make PlayStations anymore. PlayStation 1 or 2, or heck, probably even 3. I mean, I don't even know what we're on now. 5 or 6 now, PlayStations. You see that and things cycle through. And the thing is, companies want to do this. They want to divide these things up so they know where should we invest our money? Where should we put our money? What should we be doing? Because for our cash cow, look, it's making us a lot of money, but there's not a lot of growth rate. So maybe I don't invest a lot to kind of promote it, because it's not really going to pay off in terms of growth. So maybe what I want to do is find those stars and promote that one so we can make the bigger money now and get that going versus something else, okay? Or maybe you think about, hey, I got this cash cow, let's take those earnings to help out that question mark, so hopefully we can turn it into a star. So I hope this helps you understand a bit better about the portfolio matrix or the BCG matrix, okay? So you can kind of analyze the different maybe products in your firm or parts of your firm or things like that, so you can see is where should we invest, where do we divest, and what should we be doing. Anyway, I hope this helps. If you're studying for an exam, I hope it helps you get ready for that. If you're trying to decide what to do with your business units and stuff like that, I hope this simple little thing helps you have a better idea what you should do. And I'll say bye from Vienna.
Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're in beautiful Savannah, Georgia in Forsyth Park. And today we're going to talk about our growth strategies, or the Ansoff matrix, because a lot of companies aren't sure is how do we grow our business? How do we make more money? Well, this is actually a matrix that I'll use with actually some of my clients. Be like, look, let's just take some of the basics. Let's just go and figure out how can we sell more of our old products, the stuff we already have, to our current customers, but also how can we sell our old products to some new people that are out there? But also we got to think about is what kind of new products should we develop for our old customers, and are there new products we can make for new customers out there? And that's the whole idea and the whole premise of this Ansoff matrix, okay, or this growth, or these growth strategies as we like to call them. And so when we divide it up, you're going to divide it up by old products versus new products and old customers versus new customers, okay? And so the first one I want to talk about is what's called market penetration. And market penetration is when you're selling more of your current products to your current customers. Now, I'm not going to say old products to old customers because that might people feel bad, but like, look, it's all about how can I sell more Big Macs to those people that already buy Big Macs? How can I sell more plane tickets to people that are already flying with Delta? What can I do with that? And so we're just trying to kind of inspire increased consumption by our old customers, okay? So what can we do to do those things? Well, one thing you look at are loyalty programs. And how many of you have a loyalty program that you go to that store consistently because you get a 10% discount or something like that, right? I mean, I've got my Target card, so I got my 5% off every time I go to Target. I've got my Delta airline miles because every time I fly with Delta, I collect miles to get free trips. You have those things. And so by offering that loyalty program, it really inspires people to come back, your old customers, to buy your old products again. Because I'll buy another flight to Savannah. I'll buy another flight to Atlanta. I'll buy another flight to Italy because I've enjoyed my purchasing with them and they're giving me a deal. So you know what? With this loyalty program, with the deal, I'll take it, okay? Now, another thing you might want to look at in terms of increasing this market penetration or selling more of your old products to your old customers is giving your customers more opportunities to buy. So McDonald's might do this when they open their restaurants up 24 hours, or maybe their drive-thru is open 24 hours so people can buy it more often. Look, it's available for them not just from 6 in the morning till 10 at night, it's open 24 hours, so we're giving them more opportunities to buy. Also, it could be developing a website to sell more of that old content to your old customers, okay? So you can have those things. And that's why, if you look at it, those online purchasing, a lot of people that are buying online are people that used to buy in the normal store, but we're still our old customers buying our old products, so we have those things. Now, I know when I say website stuff, you're like, wait, couldn't anybody be a new customer and find your stuff on your website? Yes, they can. And what's important to know about this Ansoff matrix, this growth strategy matrix, is some ideas will actually be in multiple parts. Okay, it could be that the online sales, yes, is great for us to sell to, our old customers, but it's also a great way to go to our new customers, okay? Now, the next kind of quadrant I want to talk about in here is what's called product development. So product development is when you're developing new products to sell to your old customer. That's why you're doing lots of marketing research to understand what are your customers' needs, what are your customers' wants, what are the products that we could develop that they might want to buy. So for a restaurant, we might talk to our customers and see that, look, they want more healthy alternatives. Okay, well, what if we made a salad, more salads for you? Or what if we made vegan options, or we had some gluten-free options? Would this be something that works? And you're creating these new products to tailor to the needs and wants of those old customers. So you're making something new for those old customers. That's why if you go to like a McDonald's, they'll have that little review on the back of your, your receipt. They'll say, oh, fill out the survey and get a free Big Mac, or a free, I think it's quarter pounder or something like that. They'll do that so they can find out more from their old customers about what new stuff they should have out there, okay? A thing that we do on our travel channel, we'll be like, hey, look, viewers of our fellow travelers, where do you want us to go next year, right? And so we'll ask our fans where we should go so we can go and film there and make videos for them. So they'll want that new product, i.e. those new videos from that new destinations for our old subscribers. So you do see those things. Now, the important thing about this product development part that you really need to think about is you really need to have a good relationship with your old or current clients in order for them to want to share information with you. Because if you have a bad relationship with them, they're not going to share you their wants and needs and stuff like that. I mean, think about it. Your best friend you share your deepest, darkest desires with, and your secrets and stuff like that. Some person you don't like, you don't tell them anything. So make sure you do have that really good relationship with those current clients, because then they'll be sharing their information more with you and also more readily with you, so you can get that and come up with those ideas for those new products to make money to sell them to your old customers. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what we call market development. So here what we're doing is we're selling our current products, like our old products, but we're selling them to a new market or new clients, okay? So what we kind of see with this, for a lot of companies, when we're trying to find a new market, we look at similar markets we already kind of work with, okay? So my buddy Culver's, okay? I love Culver's restaurants. It's a Wisconsin-based, fast food place that makes great butter burgers, cheeseburgers and stuff like that. And they got all that Wisconsin cheese curds and stuff like that. And as they expanded, they kind of expanded in the Midwest, right? We're gonna go to, Minnesota and Illinois and stuff like that, because we kind of know this market. And that's what you'll see is companies will expand the things they know. That's why that good restaurant opens up a second restaurant in the same town, because they already kind of know the clientele. It's a similar clientele on the south side of town as the north side of town. It's pretty similar. So we're moving to that new market that way, because those people are kind of familiar with our type of products, and we're also kind of familiar with those type of customers. So you kind of look at that. Now, another thing you might look at is in your market development. Yes, I know I just said, move to a similar market, but you can have global or domestic expansion anywhere. And the thing is, if you're going to do that global expansion or that domestic expansion to markets you're not really sure about, research really becomes very important. What do people really value? What's going to be that value proposition that's really going to resonate in this new market? Do we need to figure out is what's the value proposition from our old product that's really going to resonate with this new market? Because that's what we need to be selling to them. That's what we need to be talking to them about. Because what happens is if you're trying to sell something that's not important to people, like, look, the fact that this is a nice warm sweatshirt that you can get at woltersworld.store, the warmness isn't really going to sell well in Portugal, because in Portugal, it's not cold. It's warm there. They don't need warm or, cold weather clothing. So what I need to sell to them is like, look, if you're going to go traveling to someplace cooler, like going to Switzerland to see your aunt, or heading to Newark to see your cousins, you might want to have a quarter zip that's going to help you fit in just right with the other Americans and other Swiss people that are there. You're going to have something else you're kind of focusing on, okay? So make sure you're looking at that. And the thing is, when you're looking at this market development, you're not always looking for new clients in terms of brand new people that never bought from you before. Sometimes what it is you're getting people, or you're targeting previous customers, but in completely new situations. So if you look at Taco Bell started selling breakfasts. And the thing is, the people that go buy Taco Bell breakfast, they probably bought Taco Bell dinners before, but Taco Bell never had breakfast. So those people were never breakfast customers, but now we can target them as breakfast customers with our breakfast burritos and stuff like that. So that's another thing you can kind of think about is targeting. Yes, it's the same client, but it's a new situation where they're shopping with us, so we can look at that, okay? And then the fourth and last one I want to talk about is what's called diversification. Here is when we're developing a completely new product for a completely new set of clients. So this would be something like when Microsoft came out with Xbox. Microsoft did not make console games, okay? They did not have gaming systems and stuff like that. Also, they did not sell to gamers, right? So you got a new product and a new set of customers. So you do that. And the thing is, when we do this diversification, okay, we really are a lot of times reaching out to a completely unrelated market to what we were doing before. So it can be very scary because you know what? It doesn't always work out. Ask Circuit City, when they branched out of just selling DVD players and VHS players, it got a little troublesome for them. So you have to think about those things. But the thing is, some companies really branch out in diversification because they see it's a way for them to make more money, just like all four of these things I'm talking about. So you look at things like TV channels, A&E, and the History Channel, and the Travel Channel. I mean, let's look at the Travel Channel. The Travel Channel doesn't have anything to do with travel anymore. It's about paranormal stuff like ghost hunting and stuff like that. Why? Because more people watch ghost hunting, and we can make a lot more money on ghost hunting videos than we can on travel videos for beautiful places like Savannah, Georgia. And so they do that. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw a history show on the History Channel? No, it's more reality shows and stuff like that. So you got to think about those things. And the thing is, companies are constantly looking for new ways to grow their business, whether it's current customers and new customers or old products, new products, all kinds of things like that. So really have to look at it in terms of when we're developing these new products, is it going to be good for us in the long term, or is it going to hurt us overall? Because maybe we can make a lot of money in a short period of time, but will it hurt us in the long run? Okay, if we're Porsche and all of a sudden we sell $50 Porsches instead of $50,000 Porsches, yes, we'll sell a lot of Porsches. But in the long run, will people ever want to pay $50,000 again for a Porsche? You have to think about those things. And the thing is, the market you're in or the industry you're in really may dictate how often you need to change products or come up with new products. Because if you look at it in terms of the fast food industry, they're always coming up with new products. We need something new to entice people to come in, because once I get my Impossible Burger, someone else will have the even more Impossible Burger. Or when we put bacon on something, everyone else will put bacon on something. And so we're constantly trying to come up with new stuff. And so really you have to think about that in terms of, you know, what is happening in our industry? How are we going to survive? And part of it is developing new products and new services and getting out to new customers. But also sometimes that means we got to do a better job of selling what we already make to the customers we already have. So I hope this helps you have a rough idea of some of the different kind of overall growth strategies that you can kind of look at. I mean, I know for me, this is one of those things. I go see clients, I pull up my wallet, I'm like, look, boom, we're going to come up with 7 ideas for each one of these segments. And it really works really well for like idea generation. So I hope this helps you, give you some ideas of some things you can do to help grow your business. And if you're studying for an exam, I hope it helps you study for your exam and you do really well on it. Anyway, I wish you all the best and good luck growing your business any way you can. Bye from Savannah, Georgia. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're going to talk about developing a marketing plan. And if you're not sure what a marketing plan is this is a plan that really shows people what we're planning on doing, what products we're going to launch, do we understand our market, this is who we're going to be targeting with this product or service, this is why we're going to succeed, here's how we're going to do it, here's the money we need to make it happen, and here's what we're going to do to make sure that it's a success, and also our measurements if it is a success, okay? All that together is your marketing plan. It is the raison d'etre, the reason why we're here, the reason why we're doing things. And so when you're developing a marketing plan, you know, it really helps, because when you have one, it really gives you direction. Like, what should we be doing in this situation? What are we trying to do? Your marketing plan gives you that direction. It gives you that explanation. Why is it that we're expanding the value menu? Why is it that we're having the teaser trailer out 6 months before the video and then the trailer out 3 months before the movie comes out? Why are we doing these things? The marketing plan explains that. Okay, so you really want to help it. And really, another thing that it does for us, it really helps us assess our goals as a company, but also helps us assess the industry and the marketplace overall, so we have a better chance of success. Because if you're trying to go to market and sell something and you haven't done a marketing plan, do you really know who the competition is? Do you really know what's going on? Do you know what their pricing is? Do you know like where people sell? You need to have those things in there in your marketing plan. And so we're going to go through the steps of a marketing plan. And what you have to realize, marketing plans are not just for marketers, okay? The sales team does that. Yes, the marketing team's that, but also the management team, the financing team, because they need to know, when are the sales going to be coming in? Like, when is this project going to launch? So we know when sales money is going to come in, so we can factor that into our budget. All these things go together. Everyone has to be a part of it. And so if we kind of look at the makeup of one, okay? And I'm gonna go through like the makeup when you would read one. It's not necessarily the order that you would actually do it, because the first thing you're gonna do is have an executive summary. This is the most important piece of paper in your marketing plan, okay? The thing is though, you write it at the very end after you've done everything. So what an executive summary does, it really gives you the most important parts. It's like if you're on Wikipedia and you go look up a movie, it gives you the plot points. It tells you, oh, he's dead at the end. Vader was actually Luke's father. It gives the spoilers away, and it really gets people enticed because then they want to learn more. Like, oh, I like these recommendations they have. I like their insights here. I want to read more. But the thing is, sometimes your bosses might not have time to read your whole marketing plan. They want to see, like, give me the rough idea. That is that executive summary. That gives people all the main goals, all the main recommendations, all the kind of key points are going to be on that kind of one-page executive summary, so people have that. I mean, it can be longer, but you have that kind of like condensed version. That's the first thing, but it's written last, okay? Now, the first thing you want to really do, and then the next part that comes in there, is you want to look at your current market situation, okay? You really got to show that you understand the marketplace, because honestly, if you don't know what's going on out there, like, why should anyone listen to you? Like, let's understand, let's get a view of the field. Let's see where the things, oh, that part of the field's got bad grass, and that part of the field is all bumpy, so I need to know what to do. It's the same thing in sports. It's the same thing here, in marketing. So we look at that. So what you're going to get is you're going to put information on the market. Okay. So what are the products that are going to be offered, but what are the products that are already on offer by our competition? And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to describe our target market. Who are those perfect customers? And not just these are the perfect customers. Here's our secondary customers after they're done. The third, like, you're going to show the kind of profile of each of the customers that are going to get the biggest bang for their buck with your product. And that's why it's important in this first part of this current market situation, you're going to explain your value proposition. What makes your products or your services so dang special? You're going to put that in here. And why is it different? And how is it different than the competition? Because if you just say, oh, I'm making a burger that's got bun, burger, bun, like, what's the difference between the Big Mac? What's the value proposition there? Tell us something more special about it. You're going to lay it out there. And that's why it's really important that you have a thorough review of the competition, what they have on offer, what they're doing, how they react to competition when they come out with things. Because if you don't understand what the competition's doing, you're going to lose. Okay, that's one thing. When I look at marketing plans, I'm like, what's your competition doing? Oh, we have no competition. Our product is so revolutionary. No one has anything like it. I'm like, no, there's people that have stuff similar enough to it that it will be seen as competition. So you need to know what they're doing. And honestly, I've had this conversation with too many businesses to say, look, you are not the only person in the world that does X. Okay, so you need to make sure you look at the competition that's doing the Y and the W that are close enough that people are like, that is a difficult letter to do in my alphabet game. And then the next thing you're going to look at is you're going to look at your distribution needs. What is it going to take to get your product out into the market? Because I might want to sell my product. I'm like, yo, yes, these Wolters World t-shirts would be fantastic, but how am I going to get them to the market? I mean, Walmart's not going to say, yes, we would love to carry your t-shirts, Mark. No, probably not. You got to look at it and say, here's the markets we're going to go to. Here's what we need to do to get on Walmart shelves. Here's what we need to do to get on Amazon Marketplace. Because that's the thing you have to look at is it doesn't matter how great your product is. If it's not on the shelves or it's not online and people can't buy it, then it doesn't really exist. And that's why I think probably the most important marketing tool, the most important marketing model you could use to get yourself ready, to prepare yourself to do better, is a SWOT analysis. And we have a whole video that goes through the SWOT analysis, like really in depth. And what it does is you really look at the internal strengths and weaknesses of your business. Like, what do we do well? And what can we do to be stronger and be better at it? And these are our weaknesses, and this is what we need to do to improve it. But also we look outside our company and say, wait, here are the opportunities that are out there for us. We could do this and this, and here's our strategy to take and seize those opportunities. But also you look at the threats. Okay, what are the threats to our business that we need to be ready for? And here's our strategy for that. And the thing is, a lot of businesses will do SWOT analysis. You might do it for a student organization, or you might do it for your business, but all they do is list things. Look, a true SWOT analysis is not just a list of this is what we do well, and this is why we're doing poorly. No, here's what we do well. Here's how we make it stronger. Here's what we're doing badly. Here's what we're going to do to improve it. And that's what you have to do. You're going to put that into your marketing plan to show that, look, we know what we're doing wrong and we're going to improve it. We know what we're doing right, and here's how we're going to make it stronger. And we know where those opportunities are. And so you put that in your marketing plan as well, okay? And after you've done this kind of background research of the current market situation, and you really internally looked at yourself and your market, Now you start to put together your objectives of your marketing plan, the objectives and the goals you have with this marketing plan. What is it you're planning to do with this marketing plan? Is it to grow sales? Is it to improve your image? Is it to change people's perception? I mean, think about it. A few years ago when Old Spice came out with the Old Spice guy, totally changed the image. The whole thing was our marketing plan is to change Old Spice from this is grandpa's deodorant to, hey, we're cool and hip. I mean, that's a whole marketing plan that went into that. And that was their whole objective. And so what you have to realize is not every marketing plan is to sell more beer or to sell more soda or to sell more burgers. Sometimes the marketing plan is to get people to believe something or to change their perception. So you want to put that down in there. Also, this part is where you're going to be segmenting your market. Here's where you really lay it out is, hey, who are the groups we're going to be targeting? The first, second, thirds. We're going to go more in depth of how we're going to do that. We're going to have goals for each one of those. Because I know we said, here's the other target markets we had in the first part, but now we're going to say, how we're going to target them, why we're going to target them, what's going to be special about us that's going to get them to buy, okay? And then after that, your next step in your marketing plan is come up with your overall marketing strategy. Like, what is your logic? What is your thinking behind your overall marketing plan? Are we going to be trying to create value in their eyes? The whole 4 Ps kind of stuff, product, price, place, promotion, that's going in there to really help us kind of define what we're going to be doing. And we're really kind of come up with the main point of our strategy. Here's where you really lay it out. Now, once we have all this put together, now it's time for some actions. And we're going to put together our action plan. And our action plan is all about those W words. What are we going to do? Who are we going to sell to? Why are they going to buy us? How are we going to get to it? I know H is not a W word, but those question words, this is where we're really putting that in. Like, what will actually be done? What will actually cost? We're putting that in there. When will the product be available? When is it going to be available in different markets? When is the movie going to be released? When is the DVD going to be released? When is the Blu-ray released? When is the streaming? When does it go to Netflix? All this stuff kind of goes in there, okay? And this is what we actually set in that plan for those 4 Ps. The products, price, place, promotion, where we're going to sell it, all that. This is where you actually lay it out, okay, in the action plan of how it's going to be there. And then the next thing you're going to look at with your marketing plan is your budgeting. Like, money does matter. I'm not going to lie to you. You can't just do this stuff. You got to pay to be there. You got to pay for these new products. You got to pay to have people to do your marketing research. This is important. So we have to think about the projected costs that we have the budget for, but also we have to do a projection of our revenue that's going to come in, because we can say is it worth this investment? Like, if I would, invest $10,000 to make the Professor Wolters website fantastic, how much more money would I make from that? Like $5. So maybe it's not worth the cost. And so here you really kind of put it in like, look, where's the money outflow is going to go out, but what's it going to bring back to me? Your ROI, your return on investment, how's that going to be in there? Okay, so you have your budgeting in there. And then of course, once you have all this kind of action plans and budgeting done and all this kind of stuff, now you really have to look at your control. You got to make sure is the marketing plan really working? You got to set it out there. What is it's working? Because it's working. If you say, oh, we're going to sell more. Well, if you sell one more product, your increasing sales is working. No, you got to put it out there. Look, we expect a 20% increase in sales. We expect to sell 55, kayaks to be out on the river and stuff like this. We really want to put that in there because you really want to figure out was your marketing plan a success or a disaster? Because it really is about perspective. Because if I tell you, oh, this movie made $500 million, I'm like, $500 million? Oh my God, it must have been a success. Well, if it's an independent made romantic comedy that made $500 million, yes, everyone in that person's family is going to be rich. But if I tell you, oh no, it's a Justice League movie with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, like $500 million, that's it? That kind of sucks for box office. And that's where you really got to lay it out. What really is a success and what is a disaster, okay? That's why you want really solid numbers. And that's why when you lay it out, you want to be more concrete. Like, this is what happens if we don't meet these numbers. This is what happens if we do meet these numbers. This is where you get the bonuses, and this is where you lose your job. You really want to put those things in there. Maybe not the part about losing their job, but this is what didn't really work, okay? So metrics really are needed so we can really figure out the characteristics and the trends we need to be looking for. That's why ROI is important, return on investment is important. That's why when you look at movies, they say, oh, our projections for the first weekend is based on the IMDb views figure out the ratings that are going to be important. Is it, we see the number of subscribers or views on our trailer, that will really give us an idea of if this is going to be a success we do that. And the thing is, this is where you can use your usual financial numbers, return on investment, return on sales. You might see inventory turnover, profit margins. Those things you might be using in order to gauge if it's a success or a failure. And the thing is when you're doing this, you also need to assign responsibility for those metrics. Whose fault is it if it doesn't work? Who is the person that gets the success? This is why you'll say, okay, our Branson office has to sell 50,000 copies, and our Chicago office has to sell 1 million copies. You put those things in there. And the thing is that when you're doing this, you might be basing your control off of previous metrics, because you might look at it in terms of like DVD sales or something like that. Look, on the last Superman movie, you sold 10,000 copies. So we expect the next one to do even better. So we expect 11,000 copies. You're kind of based on what happened before to give you an idea. And that's why it's really tough when a new product comes out. We're not sure what's going to happen. That's why if you look at in terms of movie theaters and movies coming out, it's always, Spider-Man 17 and Avengers 24 and things like that. Because, hey, look, I know what Avengers has done before, so I have an idea what it's going to do in the future. But when you come up with something new, I don't know if it's going to be a success or not. I mean, I think back 20 some years ago when the Matrix came out, the original Matrix, and it didn't make it made decent money, but it didn't make like Star Wars money. But it was probably the most influential science fiction movie that's come out in the last 25 years. And you're like, wow. But if you look on Star Wars numbers, it was a failure. But for an independent, just starting out, no one knew what to expect movie, it was a huge success. And that's why it's important is when you look at it, sometimes it's not just the numbers. It also could be the adaption numbers or the merchandise sales or whatever. And that's why it's really important, because you can look at our product portfolio and see that, wow, this product is really doing way better than other products. How can we use that to be more successful? That's where you come up with your brand extensions. It's kind of like why you have Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Like, they don't just call it Justice League because Batman and Superman are just big names. We want to use that, right? And that's why when you see like Avengers movies, they were always showing before Tony Stark, was no longer there. They were like using him so much that, look, if we put Tony Stark, if we put Robert Downey Jr. in there, then we know it's going to do well. Hello, Spider-Man Homecoming. It really helped having him there to boost the profile. And the rumors he's going to come back. We don't know. Hopefully he does. I don't know. But you see how that can really influence things, okay? Because our product portfolio will be different, and so you will have different marketing plans for different products. So for universities, they'll have a marketing plan for a degree or for a college or for the development office trying to bring in donations. They have different marketing plans. So don't think it's just one marketing plan for the whole business. You can have it divided up just for individual projects, okay? So I hope this helps you have an overall idea of what a marketing plan is, but also how you can develop one. Because honestly, what a marketing plan does for you as a business owner, it really gives you that direction. Now I know what I need to do. Now it's no longer like, what's next? What should we do? Do I know everything? No, you lay it out there so you have it like, look, I knew the competition would do this. If I do this, I know they're going to do that. It gets you more prepared. So I hope this does help you. If you did like this, give us that like, give us a thumbs up, maybe subscribe if you want to learn more. And we wish you all the best. I'll say bye from here on Tybee Island in Georgia. I am now going to go sweat someplace else because it's like 95 degrees and I'm not built for 95 degrees. Bye. Hey there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in Prague. And today we're going to talk about is a SWOT analysis. If you're not sure what a SWOT analysis is, it's a situational analysis. You're like taking a snapshot of a company or an organization at a specific period of time and analyzing what do they do well internally, their strengths, right? You want to see what we do well, but also you want to see where we have our weaknesses at the SW part. And then we look outside our company. We look at the opportunities, what it's out there for us to grab, and we're looking at the threats that we need to prepare ourselves for, okay? And the thing is, this is a tool that a lot of companies use. I use it with my clients as well, just to get a start to see like, look, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What's out there for us? And the thing is when you look at those strengths, you're looking at the capabilities. What do we do well? McDonald's, what does McDonald's do well? The standardization of their food. No matter where you go in the world, you know what that Big Mac's gonna be. The Happy Meal, yes, you're making kids happy and giving them those toys. We're giving them those kind of strengths, right? But also McDonald's has weaknesses, They're not really known for the healthiest food options, right? And sometimes, like in the US, the bathrooms aren't always the cleanest. And so you have these things internal that we can do on. We can get people to clean the bathrooms. We can come up with healthier choices for McDonald's. You do have those things, okay? And then you look outside. Are there any opportunities out there that we're missing? So now there's all this talk of the non-meat burger. So maybe McDonald's could look for, maybe we do a partnership and have that non-meat burger thing coming out. But also they have to look at the threats that are out there for them. You know, like people are upset with childhood obesity. What can we do to help kind of, you know, fight off childhood obesity or fight off the threat of childhood obesity or the perception that we're making all the kids in the world fat when, you know, I mean, parents decide what the kids eat, but, you know, we won't go there for those things. So you got to be careful. Okay. So the thing is, though, you don't just list your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, because that's like a person complaining, oh, the kids today, all they do is play Fortnite and do skateboarding, but you're not giving them other options. So when you have your strengths, you want to put down, how do I make that strength stronger? I mean, think about McDonald's. They had the Happy Meal. When I was a kid, the Happy Meal toy, you were lucky if it survived until after dinner. Now, my kids, their McDonald's Happy Meal toys, they play with them in the bathtub years later. I mean, they really hold up, and they're working with the superheroes and anything that's cool and new movies. That's really great. They've actually made that strength stronger, okay? Now, your weaknesses, obviously, if you see you have weaknesses, you should have some strategies in order to improve those weaknesses, okay? So what do we do? Our weakness of not a lot of healthy choices, well, what can we do to change that? Oh, we'll make some egg white omelets, low-fat cheese, maybe we make a wrap or something like that to help us get, you know, some healthier food options, you know? And you'll see that in the McDonald's commercials for the Happy Meal, they always show the kids drinking milk and eating the apples, okay? Because they're trying to show, look, we're not that unhealthy. We have other options out there, okay? Now, the opportunities that you list, okay, what are the opportunities that are out there? But you also got to come up with a strategy. How do I take advantage of that opportunity? It's not just saying that would be cool. It's how do I make it happen, okay? And the threats part, that's one of the things where you kind of really got to think, what are the bad things that could happen? What do I need to prepare for? You know, you have your contingency plans and things like that. What happens if they say you can't give away free toys? What if they say you can't have a kid's meal that's over 500 calories? What do we need to do to kind of fight that off? Or what do we need to do to prepare for that? And that's the thing. You use this analysis to give you the ideas, those lists, but you don't just make that list. You figure out how to get better, how to improve, how to take advantage of things and all this kind of stuff. Because otherwise, all you're doing is just being a complainer and just listing issues, okay? Now, one issue I do see when I work with clients with the SWOT analysis is it's easy for people to talk about their strengths, all those things they do really well and some of the opportunities out there, but most people don't want to talk about the weaknesses. Because I talk about the weaknesses, then people see how bad we are. But you know what? You have to admit that. Look, the audio in my old videos wasn't good. My editing isn't good. What do I need to do to fix that? Well, one thing I might do with my audio now, I've got the microphones and stuff like that. I come where there's less wind and I start to film earlier in the morning so that there's not a lot of other sounds. I'm doing those things, okay? So you try to figure those things out, but you have to admit to yourself, what are we doing wrong? And that's really hard to do sometimes. So make sure you really focus on that. And if you're in a group talking about it, don't be not supportive. Like, be supportive for people to talk so you get more information out there. So I hope this helps you know a bit about what a SWOT analysis is. If you want to learn more about marketing, hit that subscribe button. Here at Professor Wolters, we put out marketing videos, strategy videos, YouTube videos for like how to be a YouTuber. And we do appreciate all your support. So do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give us that like, and you have a good time wherever you are in the world. If you're here in Prague or somewhere else, you're studying for exam, good luck. If you're working on a little project for your company, good luck as well. Bye from Prague. Hey there, fellow marketeers. Mark here, and today what we're going to talk about is benchmarking. And the thing is, if you're not sure what benchmarking is, it's basically when you as a firm might compare yourself to other firms or your industry in general, or maybe within your company, you might compare different products that are out there to kind of see if you're doing good in relation to your competition or bad in relation to your competition, these kind of things, all right? Now, there's a lot of different ways that people actually do benchmarking, and you can benchmark a lot of stuff. It might be sales, it might be followers on YouTube, it might be a profit margin. It could be, you know, reach, things like that. There's all kinds of different stuff you can actually kind of use to benchmark against. What you need to realize is when you are doing benchmarking, when you are doing these comparisons, a lot of times you're not comparing apples to apples. Sometimes it's apples to oranges or apples to watermelons because there's such a big difference. So it's like if I would compare this Professor Wolters channel to PewDiePie. He's got 80 million subscribers. We have like 100. It's not really a realistic comparison, so it's not always super helpful. So you want to make sure is you're choosing like good things to kind of compare yourself to with your benchmarks, okay? So I want to kind of go through, a few different typical kind of benchmarks you might see. Probably one of the most popular ones out there is called a historical benchmark. So what you're doing is you're comparing like this period of time to a previous period of time. So if you hear like, oh, the fourth quarter results this year were higher than last year's fourth quarter results, they're comparing the results from the previous year. It's just a nice way to kind of base things on what happened in a previous period. And that can be helpful to see, are we growing? Are we shrinking? What's going on? Now, the thing is, one of the caveats for historical benchmarking is you got to make sure you put everything in perspective, because if I compare, housing prices in 2019 to 2009, well, there's a lot of different stuff going on, because 2009 you had the crash and everything going down, and we're not necessarily crashing in 2019. So it's not really a fair comparison looking at historical prices in such a big time gap. So you do want to be careful with that. I know for college students, a lot of them, they use a historical benchmark from their high school grades. I got straight A's in high school. I should get straight A's in college. Well, the thing is, college classes and high school classes are very different. And so getting straight A's in high school does not mean you're going to get straight A's in college. So, maybe getting a few B's isn't that bad compared to what you're thinking. So you got to really put it in perspective when you use those historical benchmarks, okay? Now, another benchmark you'll see kind of within firms is what we call internal benchmarks. This might be when we're comparing our own products, our own business units inside of our company and how they did. So Coke, the Coca-Cola company, might compare, how did Sprite do versus Coke this year? They might see us, oh, hey, in Lithuania, Sprite is actually selling better than Coke. Where nowhere else in the world that happens. Why is that? And that's the thing with these benchmarks. It gives you like a signal, like, wait, something's wrong here, or something's different here, or one of our products is doing better or worse. And it gives you an idea where you focus. So you can develop a strategy to maybe improve something versus that benchmark, or try to figure out, what are they doing that we're not doing? Okay, so you can have those things. So internally within your company, you can have those. And then another really popular one is what's called a competitive benchmark. And a competitive benchmark is when you look at your competition and you compare yourself to them. And the thing is, it's really important that you compare yourself to real competition. Okay, so if you're a university, you want to compare yourself to another university that's kind of like at your same level, okay? If you're a corporation, you probably want to compare yourself to somebody in your industry that's about the same size and see how they're doing. So then you can be more realistic with your comparisons and your benchmarking. And what's cool about this one, the competitive one, is you really start to see is like, wow, they're a lot more efficient than we are. What are they doing to be more efficient that we could improve? Or we might see it's like, wow, I sold a lot more widgets in December than they did. What did we do that was different? How can we keep that up? And so it kind of gives you these signals when you know, hey, there's something to watch out for here, okay? Now, sometimes though, you can't really find like really good like competition to benchmark yourself against, or maybe you're too small or too big or whatever. So sometimes what you do is you use what's called a functional benchmark. So you kind of take the industry as a whole. So we might look at, like Coke might look at itself versus the soda pop industry or the beverage industry, right? Or I might look at myself and go, hey, looking at my YouTube channel, how am I in general versus YouTube? Am I up in the second quarter like most people are? Or am I down, So it kind of gives you a rough estimate of the industry overall. Now, the thing is, since it's so general, it might not be as helpful using this functional benchmark because it's so broad. So sometimes you want to have a much more focused version of it. But for just kind of a general kind of idea, you might look at your stock portfolio like, how am I doing versus the S&P? How am I doing versus the Dow Jones? Okay, that would be a functional one, and you might have different stuff, but you want to make sure like, hey, am I at least doing as good as the S&P? And so that would be like a functional benchmark. And then you have just plain old generic benchmarks where you just kind of compare yourself to anybody. This is me comparing myself to a PewDiePie, okay, or some huge YouTube channel. Yeah, like what are they doing? Are they getting a lot of views this month or versus me, or how is that working? Of course they're getting a lot more views, but I can get an overall idea and say, how are things going? Okay, so if I'm a small business and I'm looking to say, well, the retail stores are doing bad this month and so am I can kind of feel a little bit better, or the overall climate, is it good or is it bad? That can help me out just to find some general benchmarks to go against. So you might look at efficiency, you might look at profit margins, you might
might look at, how is their delivery versus ours? Because that could be one of the things. We're looking at it, do I sell through Amazon or do I sell on my own? And you might kind of just look at general, like what are the satisfactory ratings for being delivered by Amazon versus companies that deliver on their own? Just to give yourself an idea of how things are going on. So you might just come up with general benchmarks overall, and that will really depend on what your industry is, what you're comparing, your products and services and stuff like that. So you have those things. And the thing is, when you take these benchmarks, they're just to give you ideas. They're just there to help you figure out, hey, is there some kind of like bell going off that there's an issue here we're not doing good, we could get in trouble for? Or is there something, hey, we're doing something well? Because you want to kind of compare yourself, because you can really learn a lot. Because you'll see it's like, look, they're doing something. Let's find out what they're doing and try to maybe mimic that to try to improve. And that's one thing I do like about benchmarking, because it does give you a nice kind of sense of where you are versus the world, and that can be very helpful whether you're a small business, a big business, or anybody, okay? So I hope this helped you know a little bit more about benchmarking. If you do want to learn more business videos, click that subscribe button and you'll get more in your feed. Bye from London, England. Hey there, fellow marketers, Professor Wolters here, and today we're going to talk about how we develop blue ocean strategies. Now, we have another video that compares a blue ocean strategy versus red ocean strategy, because what you want to think about is a blue ocean. To think about it, when you go to the beach and you see that blue ocean out there, you're like, oh, it's so calm, it's so beautiful, I want to enjoy it. But when it's a red ocean, do you want to get in the red ocean? No, there's blood in the water and all the animals are fighting, the fish are fighting, the sharks, it's just a massacre, it's horrible. Competition. All kinds of competition in that red ocean. The blue, calm ocean, that's where I want to be. And when we start thinking about developing a blue ocean strategy, is we're trying to find that new, untouched market. We're going to hopefully create a new market that doesn't even exist anymore. If you think back 20 years ago, there was no low-cost airlines. I mean, they didn't exist. Now you've got them all over the place. I mean, yes, there was like a Southwest and some stuff, but the Ryanairs, the EasyJets, the Allegiants, the Spirits, all these things, they weren't out there. It was all these major carriers, the Deltas, the TWAs, the Uniteds, the Americans, all this kind of stuff. They had those. And the thing is there was no market out there for low-cost travel. That didn't even exist. If you wanted to travel, it was super expensive. But then companies like Ryanair and EasyJet, they kind of created this blue ocean. They said, wait, what if we do something totally different? What if we make travel accessible to everyone, not just the rich? Mind explosion. Like, what? A whole new kind of demographic, a whole new thing out there? Yeah, what if we did that? Because what happens in a blue ocean strategy is you focus on making your competition irrelevant. It doesn't matter that Delta has way better service than Allegiant. It doesn't matter that British Airways has got really fancy treats. It doesn't matter, because EasyJet is making you pay for the food, and Southwest is like, yeah, whatever, you'll be fine. I mean, Southwest is nice, don't get me wrong, but you start to see it's like, look, no one cares that you get food when the flight is $5, right? You're like, I mean, think about it. If a flight is $1,000, you're going to be expecting, a nice meal, some entertainment, stuff like that. But for that same $1,000 flight, you get it for $150. You're like, I just hope we land safely. Like, you can treat me like crap. I don't care, because it's $150 versus $1,000. And so that's what you start to see is when with Blue Ocean, we're going for this whole untapped market. And the airlines, the cheap airlines, they really went for that whole untapped market. There were people that just weren't flying. I mean, I've been traveling to Europe for decades now, okay? Eyes old, okay? And you see the total change in demographic. So many more people can travel. When I used to live in Lisbon, I did my PhD there, and it was cheaper for me to fly to Rome, like across the continent, than it was for me to take the train to the north part of Portugal. I'm like, whoa. So if I want Italian food, 35 euros, so like $40 to fly to Italy to have Italian food, or wait a minute, why would I hear, you start seeing these things. And that's what they did. They really saw this whole new market, and they developed really a new product, a new scheme out there for these low-cost carriers. And the thing is they did really thrive for a long time, and they've drove some of the long-time carriers out of business, and they've now that low-cost thing has become a little bit of a red ocean. Because one thing you have to realize is these blue oceans don't stay blue forever. People see that, wait, there's money being made. Ryanair did well, then EasyJet came in, and Vueling and Wizz and all the Wow Air and and Zim and Zippy and all these things, and not all of them survived because the competition came. But at first, it was a whole new market, and that's what's great about this blue ocean. When you start working with it, you try to come up with a new
innovation, a new market, because it really does encourage innovation, because it helps you think about how you deal with customer needs in a completely different way, okay? And so what you want to do is, we had that video on benchmarking. You throw out the benchmarks. I'm not comparing myself, like EasyJet, or Southwest or Allegiant, we're not comparing ourselves to Emirates. We're a whole different thing. It's like, I don't compare myself to an accounting professor. That's a whole different area. I'm a social media guy. I'm a marketing guy. We're in a different world here, right? And so you start thinking that way, it gets you working a different way. It gets you creating new kinds of topics, new kinds of products, new kinds of services in this new blue ocean that's free to try out. And so what you might do is you might ask yourself a few questions. You might think about it in terms of, which factors does the industry kind of take for granted, right? And that we could maybe eliminate. Like back in the day, you used to get free checked luggage. Crazy, right? You used to get free food on the planes. I know. This is insanity, right? What? Free stuff? You're kidding me. No, they used to have that. And so what these cheap airlines saw is like, wait, people expect to get that free, but would they pay for it otherwise? Could we encourage them not to do it? Because now, hey, if we charge for the luggage and people don't bring it, right? It's like, oh, that makes it cheaper on our air, gas mileage and stuff like that. We can board the planes faster. And so you saw where they really did eliminate the free check bags. So free, there's been places where if they printed out your ticket, your boarding pass at the airport, you had to pay for it. So, hey, save us the money by making the people at home print it out. So if you want to do it, you put on the printing costs, right? You're like, what the heck? How many times have you bought an airline ticket and they're like, oh, yeah, but you want to pay with a credit card? Oh, that's an extra $8 or €8. Oh, a debit card, that's €5. So like, wait a minute, then how am I supposed to pay without that extra charge? They're finding these things that we can eliminate. Free purchasing. You see that, okay? So, and I remember when the cheap airlines started charging for bags, and some of the major carriers were like, oh, we won't do that. You're like, yeah, right. When they saw the kind of money they made from just charging for the baggage, yeah, sure. And so they started doing that because that's a whole other new thing. That whole blue ocean of, well, we could be making money on selling luggage space that used to be free or upgraded food options. I never thought about that. That's looking at things that might be able to be eliminated that we could charge for. But sometimes you're looking at, hey, are there things that we could reduce, right? Like that could lower our costs. Well, that's where you saw food on flights. Look, instead of maybe not having, well, they went from free to paying, but also if you look at the options, we didn't have to have as nice of foods or as fancy stuff. If you look back at some of those videos, it says, oh, the fancy day of flight in the 50s and 60s where it's like, they're having like lobster tails and steak, don't worry, they still have that in first class. I had to pee in first class once, and walk through it and I saw it. I was like, oh snap, they got some good stuff there, right? But the rest of us in stowage, we don't really here's some peanuts, like if you're lucky. And so what they saw is like, look, we could reduce the food. We don't have to give them as many things. Cheap airlines. How many of you have been on a cheap airline? I'm not saying all of them, but some of them I've been on that it's like the plane is dirty. Like, wait, we can cut back on the cleaning to save money. Now, post-COVID and all those things, they're cleaning up a little bit more. But I'm like, why weren't you cleaning in the first place? Because we can use that to lower prices. Because people are like, you know what? It's a dirty plane, but I paid $5 for the flight to Florida. Okay, so you see those things like that. And then you could also look at it in terms of, hey, are there things that we could really raise like above and a different level, like be way better at in an industry that's not already there? And so what the low-cost airlines did is they did really a lot better with low prices, right? For the flights that inspire people to travel. That's the thing is, I wish we had the low-cost airlines when I was in college because I would have traveled so much more when I did my master's and PhD in Europe back in the day. They were coming near the end, but I'm like, man, it was so much cheaper now to go see the world, It's like fantastic. I'll be honest with you. I started flying to Europe in the 90s. Okay, I'm old. Okay, I'm old. And I actually paid, in actual dollar amounts, my ticket to go to Germany in 1996, okay, was $1,200. Okay, my ticket to go to Ireland that I have for this fall was $400. And I know that it's low season, high season, whatever, but those tickets are actually still about $1,000. So wait, 20 years later and 20 some plus years later, and the price is actually lower? What's going on? Well, because there's been so much competition, because they saw that, look, though these cheap airlines, went for this whole other market, they had influences on the other market, the long haul carrier stuff, right? And so we start seeing things crossing over. And that's where you see that the blue ocean eventually does become red, because companies do start fighting over those seats. That's why you see American, United, Delta, they have their like super economy fares, like, oh, you don't get any luggage, you pay the lowest price, but you can save money. So if you want that $100 flight, you can get that from Delta, but you're not going to get any of those extras. So they're looking at what can be eliminated, right? Oh, you get to board early. You get to pick your seat. You don't get stuck in the middle. So things like that. And so overall, on some kind of these principles of the blue ocean, and this kind of leads into our other video on this. So if I'm repeating myself and you watch that one, I apologize. But really, you got to think about it in terms of reconstructing the market boundaries. It's no longer flying is for the rich. It's flying is for everybody. Why can't it be for everybody? Let's change that. Okay. Then another thing you have to look at is you kind of look at things in the big picture. It's not just this one little stuff. It's like, no, we're not just like making just cheap flights from Chicago to Florida. Oh, no. The big picture is I see Americans flying all over America for next to nothing. Flights for the cost of Greyhound bus tickets, for Amtrak tickets. Wow, I mean, think about it. That's how Europe completely changed their tourism. It's like, look, this isn't about, Brits going down to Mallorca or Germans going to Mallorca to party. This is about everybody in Europe going anywhere they want to go on the weekend. Like, that's a whole other thing. And so you start thinking big picture, it's a lot easier to think of that blue ocean because it's a big ocean out there. So let's think big picture. And the thing is, that's why it's important when you're developing a blue ocean strategy, you really reach beyond the existing demand. I mean, because if EasyJet and Ryanair and Southwest just went for the same routes and passengers that Delta and British Airways had, they wouldn't have won. They had to go for somebody different. You have to go for a different demand. Go for just the leisure travelers or the low-cost travelers and stuff like that, and not worry about the business travelers. You don't see Ryanair first class, right? You don't see Southwest first class too often, right? So you have to think about those things, right? And the thing is when we're putting this together, when you're putting your blue ocean together, you really have to make sure everything kind of fits together, because you'll see at first, I remember, because I saw how the cheap low-cost airlines spread throughout Europe and the US. Yeah, they started with, okay, we all have flights to London. And then it's like, okay, we see that there's a lot of people that want to go to Lisbon. So then they made Lisbon a base a few years later, and they started spreading out that way. It's like, look, we have to think longer term here, that bigger picture. Let's think of the sequence. I'm not going to start my airline out of the Ozarks. I'm going to start it out of Florida and then expand from there, because like Florida's a big destination. And then once we got Florida down, where's another thing? Oh, we got Texas. We got people there. We got Mexico. We've got Jamaica. We've got Cancun, right? And so you're starting to see all these things. We have a sequence. We have a thing that really plans out, because you want to think about those sequences. What's going to be the next thing? Because if you go for the blue ocean, just one little pocket, know that competition is going to come sooner. So you got to think, what's the next step for our blue ocean? It's kind of like when you go to the beach. When there's nobody on the beach, it's nice. But when people start showing up, you might scoot down to another place on the beach because it's a little bit nicer, a little bit less crowded. You might be doing that, okay? Now, another thing that's really important with blue ocean strategies is I've tried to institute these in a few places I've worked before, and they're tough because you have a lot of organizational hurdles. Like one of my bosses I've had, I love the guy to death, and he had the fantastic, I'm totally for this, to make our college one of the top 5 undergraduate business schools, right? And you're like, yes, this is awesome. I mean, I'm an undergraduate educator. I love undergrad education. I want to help out as many students as I can. Let's be the best we can be. But the thing is, sometimes you have organizational hurdles. Because think about it. If you work at a university, people don't usually judge your undergrad. They judge your MBA. Like, what does your MBA rank? That's what shows it's a good business school. Well, the thing is, if you're telling people that, we need to look at undergraduate. Wait, I spent my entire career trying to build this MBA, and now you're telling me I have to look at undergrads? Don't you think there's going to be some friction? There's going to be some hurdles you have to get over? So we have to get everybody on board and understand that, look, by building this top 5 undergraduate program, most of the people coming back for that MBA are from our undergrad program. They're going to come back and be even better, which will then, in 10 years' time, really explode that MBA program and make it even better. Oh, right. So you have to think about things like that, all right? And the thing is when you're doing all this, you really got to really build in an execution strategy. What's step 1? What's step 2? What's step 3? What are the things we need to make sure we're doing? Like, are there certain competencies we have to have? It's kind of like, one of the reasons why the cheaper airlines got to do so well is they weren't flying to Heathrow. They were going to, in London, they're going to Stansted, a cheaper airport. They weren't going to the main airport. They're going to want right outside. Yeah, it's a little bit farther to go, but they were happy to have people come in. and they saw that, look, this is something we need to do. This is a way we can actually lower our costs, okay? And so we think about those things. And with this whole blue ocean, I think what's really important is whatever your goal is in your business, make sure you're tying the awards and the compensation to your employees to this new blue ocean strategy. Because if everybody's getting paid based on that old red ocean strategy stuff, they're going to stay there because that's what's paying their bills. You got to change the way we pay our people as well, okay, or reward them. So I hope this helps you know a bit more about blue ocean strategy and how to create it. Do check out our video that really compares red ocean and blue ocean to give a lot more of a feel for all sides of it. And I wish you all the best. Bye. Hey there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in London, England. And today what we want to talk about is actually a continuation of our discussion on blue ocean strategies. And this video is actually going to talk about the differences between red ocean strategies and blue ocean strategies, okay? And the thing is when you're thinking of a red ocean, when you think of red ocean, you think, oh, there's blood in the water, because all the blood that's in there is from all the fighting of all the competition. And that's the thing is, in a red ocean market, you're basically fighting over the same market, the same people, the same sales and stuff like that. So we're fighting all the time, all right? Whereas in a blue ocean, what you're doing is you're fighting over an uncontested market. You're not fighting. It's a completely open ocean. There's no worries. I can wander through and have no problems. Whereas in a red ocean, you know, wherever you go, you're going to be fighting. So like in the mobile phone industry, everywhere Apple goes, Samsung's there fighting them and stuff like that. So you have those things. Now, next thing I want to look at is in terms of competition and how we kind of view competition. Well, in a red ocean, what we're looking at is our competition. We're always fighting with them, so it's a constant battle, a constant, you know, tug of war of who's winning, who's losing, and stuff like that. Whereas in a blue ocean, competition is basically irrelevant because we're making them irrelevant by putting ourselves in our own little world. I mean, the Southwest and the Ryanairs and the EasyJets, they're not concerned with Delta. They're not concerned with British Airways because we're over this low-cost field. We're not even worried about your stuff. We're not competing with you. We're over here. And that means that the other market that they're fighting over is irrelevant to us. So we're not even worried about that. And a lot of it will really come to in terms of demand. Okay, so in terms of the red ocean, you're battling over that existing demand. People already want flights. Okay, if we're looking at the airline thing, they already want those flights. So we're fighting over those flights, you know, those kind of things. Well, the thing is, in a blue ocean, what we're kind of coming up with is that we're not selling the same old product. We're not selling a flight, we're selling a low-cost flight. Whereas a normal flight has food and drinks and free baggage and stuff like that. We're just selling, look, cheap flight. You want anything else, you're going to pay for it. We're just selling the flight part. And so it becomes kind of a very different battle because you're selling very different products. So with the red ocean, you're focusing on existing demand because people are already buying those things, like the plane tickets and stuff like that. We're only focused on the normal plane tickets. That's what we're really going for, this existing demand. But then our blue ocean strategy, what they're trying to do is create a completely new demand for something that people hadn't even been looking for before. Because you think about in terms of airline tickets, well, we were all buying normal plane tickets before that had free bags and food and drinks and stuff like that and those things and assigned seats. Well, the thing is, we created this whole new demand for low-cost tickets. Yeah, there's no luggage included, there's no drinks included, there's no nothing included. It's just a cheap fare. It's just the flight itself. None of the other add-ons. And so we actually kind of created this whole new product, this whole new demand for a completely different kind of industry. Also can be a completely different kind of client. Now, another thing I would say is in terms of the red ocean, what you'll end up seeing is companies will either go for a low-cost leadership or maybe a differentiation strategy. They're going to go for a traditional strategy kind of thing. It's an either-or kind of thing because we realize, look, we got to be at least special. Like, we got to be Target, so people will come to us for that fancy shopping experience, or we've got to be Aldi or Walmart and have the lowest price possible. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to fight tooth and nail for those little areas. Whereas in a blue ocean, since you're a new thing, you're actually differentiating yourself just because you're this whole other new product, this whole other new demand, but also you're kind of doing a low cost thing as well because you're the one setting the cost and you're doing something different. So if you're looking at the airlines, they went for that whole low cost thing over here that didn't exist. So we're specializing in cheap tickets. So it's differentiating ourselves because we're giving you this other option of different kind of products because it's a different kind of flight, but also trying to give you that lowest price when we are there. And the last thing I want to touch on is this kind of cost-value ratio, like how much does it cost to do that, what value am I getting out of it? And the thing is when you're looking at the red ocean, we're focusing on that traditional cost-value relationship. Look, we're going to give you the extra seat room, we're going to give you the food and stuff like that, so you value that, but it raises our costs. The thing is we have to kind of fight over these things and do these kind of things, and that's what we're going to look at. Whereas in the blue ocean, what they're trying to do is do something completely different. We're going to go beyond the cost-value relationship, because the thing is if you're looking at those cheap airlines, man, the service a lot of times, not all the times, like I like EasyJet service, I like Southwest service and stuff like that, but the thing is they're like, look, we're going over something different. Our cost value, we're giving you such a cheap flight that you're not really caring if you get good service or not because it's such a cheap flight. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of flying with Ryanair, but I still do it because, man, I can't beat those prices. And that's the thing is it doesn't matter the cost value, it's such a good cost and such a different price range and stuff like that it gives me a whole other perspective on those flights. That's why when you have those cheap flights, you're like, you know what, I hadn't thought about going to that city or that country, but with prices like that, how can I say no? Okay, and that's one of those things. These red and blue oceans, remember, red, you're constantly fighting and doing battle over the same demand, the same products, the price quality ratio, all these kind of things. It's the same stuff every day. And the thing is, you want to get out of that everyday grind kind of fight and bloodied water to go into that nice, clean blue ocean. So you want to make sure it's like, look, let's see if we can create that new market. Let's find something that people hadn't thought about before. And that can be, like I said, you're looking at those cheap airlines that came out. Also, think about when the Wii came out versus the PlayStation, the Xbox. They went for a whole new blue ocean. It's the stand up and play video games and do your Wii bowling or Wii baseball. It totally changed the market. Now, the thing is, what you have to realize is those blue oceans, if it looks really good, what happens to all those tourist destinations that look great? Eventually people go there, right? And eventually that blue ocean becomes a red ocean as well. So that's why if you're looking at, the Ryanairs, Ryanair, EasyJet, Vueling, you have a lot of airlines that have now in that blue ocean, and now it's also a red ocean. So over time, the blue ocean will turn into a red, and then we try to find something else. I hope this helps you understand the differences between red oceans and blue oceans in terms of blue ocean strategies and what we're kind of dealing with. If you want to learn more about business and marketing, do subscribe to our channel. We got new videos coming out every so often. So hopefully it'll help you learn some more and have a great time, and bye from London. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Wow, when you say it that way, it sounds kind of cool, right? But the thing is there's actually a model where you're looking to come up with big, hairy, audacious goals for your business. Because the thing is we all like to just putter around. We all feel fine just doing what we're doing the day before. But sometimes you have to look for something new, something big, something audacious that your company can focus on and grow bigger with. And that's why you have this big, hairy, audacious goal to figure out what is the next thing that our business, that our organization, that our group is going to focus on. Because you know what? If you just sit back and do the same thing every single day, do you ever get bigger? Do you ever grow? No, you've got to take chances. You got to go out there and do something different. Look, yeah, if I don't make a big, hairy, audacious goal, I'm going to lose weight. Well, how much? No, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to do these things. Yeah, what do you need to do that? You got to think about these things. You got to set that goal out there, because you don't, your company's just going to piddle along. And so what we do is we come up with these big goals. And so when you're thinking about these big, hairy, audacious goals, you got to ask yourself 3 questions. Question number 1. What are you deeply passionate about? Because you're not going to go crazy and work your butt off for something you don't care about. So you have to think about that. What are we passionate about? What do we need to focus on in our industry to go farther? That's something we believe in. And so we have to think about that in terms of what will we do better? What's the problem out there that we're going to solve that our customers really need to be solved? Like, what's that next level out there that we can get to, right? So you have that. So you look at, what can we be deeply passionate about? But then also we have to ask ourselves, what can we be the best in the world at? Now, this isn't always an easy thing, because what you need to do is look at what are the core competencies that companies need to have in order to be the best in the world at something. And sometimes you might see that your company, your organization is lacking. So you might need some training. You might need to hire some people. You might need to do some things to bring up what you're doing. So think of the products or service features that we need to have, those core competencies that we need to have. What do we need to do to get there? Because sometimes you might already have some of it there already. It just needs a little push. And the third question we need to ask is, hey, what drives the economic engine in this industry, in this market, in this area where our goal is. Where are the customers? How big are the customers? What are their customers doing? How are the customers deciding? Is there a price premium if you have a brand, or does the brand even matter? And you look at is what are those key variables out there that really determine the financial return for the company in our industry. And what we do is we take these three questions, we put them together, and we start to decide what that big, hairy, audacious goal is. Because once we have this big, hairy, audacious goal, it gives our firm a common long-term focus. It's like, look, this is what we want to be eventually. And you may say, well, who does big, hairy, audacious goals? Well, if you think back to the 70s, I know a lot of us watching this, we're not really paying attention to the 70s or existed then. But the thing is, Toyota and Honda were seen as crappy POS cars. And now they're seen as good cars, right? And they had a goal. They had a big, hairy, audacious goal. Let's be seen as a legitimate car company with good cars. And it took them a long time. But the thing is, that was their goal. So we had to think about our production, our marketing, our warranties, our guarantees, our product offerings, our service offerings. All these things out there help them to achieve that big, hairy, audacious goal, okay? And the thing is, when we do that, it also helps us determine where our long-term investments are needed. So for Honda and Toyota, it was in engineering, it was in design and stuff like that, right? And so we look at that, and what we look at is sometimes our big, hairy, audacious goal help redefine our business, redefine our organization and who we are. And so if you look at it for universities right now, let's think about a university. They want to change the way they're doing things. Our big, hairy, audacious goal is we want to be one of the top undergraduate business schools in the world, right? Is it something we're passionate about? Yes, we have people that can teach. We have these things that are out there. We know that our business is being driven by the number of students that are taking a major. Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do here, but we have to ask ourselves these questions. Do we have enough faculty out there to make us one of the best business faculties out there? Or do we have the right educators out there? Or we might have fantastic researchers, but can they translate that research into ways that help our students get better jobs, be better prepared for the workplace, so we're seen as one of the top business schools in the world? That's what you have to think about, and that might influence your investment. Oh, we're going to invest in teaching our professors to teach better, right? We're going to invest in hiring professors that are more passionate about teaching. We're going to reward for that teaching. So professors that have to make a decision, do I write a paper, do I teach a class? Well, right now, it's, we got to write a paper. But maybe we change it. So, hey, I need to teach that class to make a better impact on our students so they can be better out there, so we can raise our kind of perception in the marketplace of our degree, of our program, okay? And the thing you have to realize is when you're developing these big, hairy, audacious goals, you need a lot of creativity. You also need a lot of flexibility, because you get too rigid. I mean, if you're trying to do something big and you can't move, like if I try to get, this is kind of weird, but if I had a shell on me and I try to get big fast, you're going to break the shell. Right? So wait, we got to be flexible. We got to be able to stretch it, do things like that. And that's what your strategy has to be. You got to realize big, hairy, audacious goals don't happen overnight. It takes time. I've lost 50 pounds in the last year. Yeah, I need to lose like another 100 pounds. But the thing is, I know that I can't lose 100, 150 pounds in 1 month or 1 year. You need time to do those things. And those big, hairy, audacious goals take planning. What are the steps going to be? What are the things we need to be that shows that we're getting there? So for the university trying to be a top undergraduate business school, is it we're rising our rankings, our students are getting more jobs, they're perceived to be better prepared for the workplace? What is it? What are those things we see that are out there, okay? And that's why it's really important that you still make sure you're focusing on those fundamentals of business while you're growing. Because no matter what, if Toyota and Honda had that big, hairy, audacious goal of being seen as a legitimate quality car company, and they didn't focus on the business side of actually making cars and watching their balance sheets, they never would have made it. Okay, so what I want you to do is think about it. What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? Put it down in the bottom. Put it in those comments. What's the big thing you want to do? Think about it. What are you passionate about? Where can you succeed? Where's the market taking you? And the thing is, when you're thinking about that big, hairy, audacious goal, then what are your strategies to get there? What is your step-by-step plan to get there? Okay, because it's not easy. You don't revolutionize and completely change yourself overnight. It takes time and it's step-by-step process. But you know what? You can get to those big, hairy, audacious goals. So I hope that helps you. Bye.